Oh, celebrity mentorship was one of my things for yourself, for your partner, for your children.
Celebrity?
Mentorship. You become a celebrity and your children haven't been trained and your partner hasn't been trained and they didn't ask for this. So,
very good one.
so
They get pulled into your
so they become collateral
solid
damage.
life.
So I apologize. I'm gonna start it off mentioning this name, but it was a story that came out. Umsaki sat with Relebogile Mabotja, and
Should you roll?
are you not rolling?
I am.
Sorry. And in that conversation, because she's got 3 children with her ex-husband.
Oh, you're already recording?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, do you have to get in position?
No.
Hey, we're rolling. Hey.
Ngizitshela ukuthi niyahleba yabona. Ngoba ngizwa ngamagama abantu.
No, so khuluma ngamagama abantu.
Sure.
You have to check this thing while I'm hitting.
Sure.
Yeah, that is your
No, but we're rolling, right?
Yeah. I want a situation I want post. I don't know if I'm saying that. But did it ever come across to her like you don't want to be seen with?
You guys are not talent. You guys can chat later somewhere else.
Oh.
You don't have to talk here. We've got big names like DJ Spoo. Legend in the game. Sorry, Chi, you are making your point. Please finish. Please finish whatever pop point you have. Please finish your pop point.
This is your show. No, sorry. This is your time. This is your time to shine, boy. You shine, boy. We'll make sure you look good while you're shining, boy. Shine on, man.
I think there might be a camera charging. If you check at the back there, I think. Please just check
A charger.
if there's something charging.
Yes.
There's something charging.
Yeah. Nice.
I'm not sure where best to put it because the guy's gonna come back to fetch it.
I'll put it in the kitchen on me. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna take off the charger. Put it
In the kitchen.
What I'll see them. Is he coming back now? You don't want
It's coming back now. Yeah, it's coming back now.
No, it's not.
Okay. My apologies, Boo. My apologies. Please carry on with what you're doing.
I ain't grand. We can start.
No,
Sorry.
please carry on. Please, Boo. Please carry on with what you're doing.
Grand.
I'm gonna carry on with what I was saying.
Yeah.
So Umsaki sits with Relebogile Mabotja and she's got 3 children with her ex-husband. She was in a entanglement. She was in a, I don't know what to call it because it lasted for 3 months. Situation of sorts with the gentleman called Smash Africa. Both of them at the time were in the process of divorce, but they were not divorced.
Yeah.
They were separated. And in everything that happened, because she was accused of being a homewrecker, something happened to this guy's property where his ex-wife came and broke in and damaged things. And then there was a huge storm and she ended up losing lots of money. And in that, I was trying to imagine Ingane, because this happens a lot. Kids go to school, your kids get accused, or your parents have a bad rep. Another good example is probably Kelly Kumalo. The amount of negative heat she gets from people. I feel sorry for the kids where they go to school, because I know it's not just the kids, it's their parents. It's probably even the teachers who treat you some type of way. And the idea of, if you're going to become a celebrity, you should be mentored if you have that foresight. But we don't think enough about putting our children and our partners into therapy and counseling. So that, because I can imagine relationships break up. You're getting a lot of heat. People know who your partner is. She's getting a lot of heat. I don't know what you think about that. Uqala ngokubonga. uThixo.
Shakunjani?
I'm good, Buddha.
Ngikhumbulile dala ngagcina. Good to see you.
Thank you, brother.
No, ngiyabonga mfethu. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
And congratulations with the team on the growth nomsebenzi siyabonga.
Thank you.
Muhle kakhulu. Hey, ingenye indlela lento ngibuza yona. You know, people always try and still drag me in this celebrity world. Although I don't regard myself as a celebrity, but I understand because one is living a public life. So you do consider family in everything you do, and especially as soon as you have got a baby, instincts umzimba wakho nje
Sure.
nengqondo yakho automatically yonke into yenza uhlala ucabanga ingane zakho, you know. So even with everything that you get involved in, you do think about kids, you think about your family. Uma ngenze into embi, and then maybe I'm training for the wrong reasons, I'm on the cover of newspapers, the people that get the most heat, even if I can deal with it, it's my family, my immediate family, ihlobo zami. And the very same ones are always bragging about me.
Yeah.
Right? So they're the first ones to get heat, whether in Sebenzini or wherever they are. And Nabazali, you know?
Yeah.
So I totally agree. Even now go business. Now yonke into yenzayo, it affects your kids. And because this is not normal at all. Even when you get into a relationship, you orientate the person that you are involved with.
How to orientate, you're speaking now as someone who knows. I'm asking more at the beginning. Were you even thinking that?
At the beginning of what? Of my career?
Of your career, yeah.
No, at the beginning, no. But in the first few years, when I started seeing the attention from people, whatever you do, it's on show ashwi. Back then it was show ashwi.
Yeah.
Now it's a Chris Excel.
Musakaula. Podcast and chill. It's everywhere now.
Chris, we have to interview you, man, on these platforms. You are needed. You can even wear a mask. That's fine. You can be the 2024 yeah, but before there was social media, there was there's always been media, but at the time it was in a different format. So the first few years, yeah.
You'd orientate your partner at the time?
Yeah.
Umtshela uthi say, look.
Buso. And umuenza so kuzoba so. Umasingenza so kuzoba so. And the day this happens, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Are you ready for it? If mhlambe, let's say bebuza uthi why ungangipost? Are you ready? Are you ready? I'm not saying that's what they're asking me. I'm saying if, in the past it's happened, why you don't bring me into the spotlight.
Yeah.
But are you ready for the spotlight? And do you know what it comes with? Things might be great and you might want it now because it's nice. But the fact that you've opened that door, you must be ready with whatever comes back with it.
Sure.
You've seen people who say, no, leave me alone. This is my private life. I need privacy. You chose to be in this industry.
100%.
Politicians are public figures. Celebrities are public figures. Sports stars. And people that are doing all these things that are in the public. When the negativity comes, I understand it when people don't want their private lives infiltrated. But it comes with it. It comes with the job.
You've had your daughter, Waratwa. I wonder how she's doing. She amazing?
Yeah, it's her birthday. 28th October, it's her birthday, yeah.
So let's promise MoFaya.
11th birthday. Yeah.
Congrats.
Ngiyabonga mfethu.
You've posted her publicly.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe I'll ask any conversations you've had with the mom. One of the conversations you and I have had is I've had conversations with the mothers of my kids because I'm sometimes deemed controversial as well and potential danger that they might be in. Is there a conversation you've had with the mom? How are you planning to navigate any spillover negativity from your side onto her?
This is a very good way to start a podcast conversation. Yes, we had a very serious conversation before she was born. Just a few months before she was born.
Her mom is not in the spotlight.
Her mom is not in the spotlight. No, she's not even on social media, right? But yes, because I used to post her a lot.
Sure.
Even
the mom or your daughter?
I'm talking about my daughter.
Okay.
Even when my daughter was born, like I used to post her a lot. And then the baby talking resistance came from the mother. No, man. You are bringing her into this world of yours and she's not ready. She's still too young.
Yeah.
And now you are already choosing for her to be a public figure from Zisasuke Pandin. And we don't know what she was going to turn out, how she was going to turn out if she would be just let alone to grow up and become an ordinary kid.
Yeah.
She probably might want to choose when she's older industry. Yeah. My argument with the mother was, but whether she likes it or not, she's already my child. So even if yena engaveli, kodwa she'll always be looked at as ingane yami.
100%.
Athi kodwa it's better rather than ukuthi bamazi ukuthi unjani nasebusweni and intentionally do it, yabo. Then savumelana. And then over the years I've deleted her social media platforms, and the one thing that we ended up agreeing upon was because mina ngangimvulele page lakhe. In a short space of time, I think it had 10,000 subscribers or something like that, followers. And then she was like, no, abantu abaningi kanje bafuna nengane, you know? And this is in a short space of time. You can just imagine how big that platform would be now, because we stopped almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, she was still a little kid with 10,000 followers. At the time, and remember, social media at the time was still new.
It wasn't as big as it is now. Yeah, it would be huge.
She'd probably be in the millions, you know? And then I stopped, but I was like, but whether you like it or not, this is the world that we're in.
Yeah.
And this thing is a platform, and she can turn it into a business at a later stage, whether she wants to be in it or not. She is forced to, because uyingane yethu. And even if she does not get into entertainment, but this is becoming like an avatar, because impilo isinjalo and kuzoba so. And we've seen what has happened over the years. If I had a choice to choose now, I'd still ngivumelana nomama wakhe, and I'm actually thankful to her mother who decided ukuthi singayibuild the social media yengane at that time. Khona manje, and then we would agree with me posting her. Okay, ungamposta kweyakhe platform, kodwa not njalo, not irresponsibly also. Yeah.
So you've got Will Smith and Jada.
Yeah.
I'm using them as examples because they're two superstars. They had two kids, Jaden and Willow. And their kids got into the spotlight very early. It was decided, it was intentional. They made movies, they released music. You've got, may rest in peace, Kenan Forbes, aka and DJ Zindli. Two known stars, superstars in South Africa. They've put Cairo out there. She's got her own brand, her own platform. She does her own work. You've got a situation like, who was going to be my last example? Come on. AKA, Kim and Kanye. Two superstars. But now Kim creates a TikTok page for, I think it's North. Kanye is like, I'm the father. I don't want my child on social media because there's funny people and it's almost the opposite. Where normally it would be the mom saying, protect umntwana. Kanye is the one saying, don't put my child here. But to the argument, it's like everyone's going to know your kids anyways. And Futi, it's not just Kanye's kids, it's Kim's kids. And they're going to be even on reality TV with the Kardashians. As general advice, obviously different parents can have different things. As general advice, do you think popular people should rather be like, let's manage this thing and put it out there than people go dig? Or do you think it's better to be like, let people rather dig? Because there's always the worry of, if my child is out there, they're in danger. On the other hand, if my child is out there, everyone knows who they are. So no one's going to just take Nganyami. To go to our no, Nangu Cairo. Everyone knows her. It's not like they don't know. And it's just between you guys. Because those are some of the conversations myself and the mothers of my kids have spoken about. Wuti, what is the right thing to do?
It's a very good question, because even now I'm considering, and we've been talking about this with my daughter for the past 2 years. She has been telling me she's not ready to podcast. I've been telling her since she was 9 that you're ready.
Let's podcast.
You're ready to podcast. And then I was saying to her, Dad has got a podcast platform. If I pass on, who's going to take it over? Because whether you like it or not, I'm going to pass on. It's inevitable.
Yeah, I'm building everything for you.
So might as well just you get into it now. She's like, I'm not ready. And she was telling me that at 9, right? We had this conversation again when she was about to when she had just turned 10. She was still like, I'm not ready. So Konamanja, the agreement we have is next year, 2025. So she will be podcasting. We've eventually agreed.
Why not force her?
I can't force her because podcasting comes with conversations.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me answer it properly. She's been forced to because she's always behind the scenes.
Okay.
So she comes with me. Like njengoba
khona la umfoster khona to do something.
Ukumfoster but not ukumfaka ekamereni.
Okay.
Kodwa ukhona. Uyathunywa ukuthi enze izinto. She's always around this environment.
Yeah.
But akavele emacamereni.
Okay.
So ngasho ngithi ngiyamfoster ngokuthi ngimlethe kuleyo environment because she's in it anyway.
Yeah.
But the matter of her being on camera, she must want to.
Yeah.
And she must volunteer as to what type of a show she would like to do, what type of conversations she would like to have.
Yeah.
And now at least she's warmed up to that idea. And those are the conversations we're having. What ideas do you have? What do you want to talk about? And she gravitates towards my friends, conversations with my friends, me inviting my friends, other kids, you know what I mean? Smart kid, which is really dope. I'm really blessed that she's also very humble and respectful. Kodwa, I'm looking forward to her coming on to the camera. Kodwa sixoxile ngayo.
Together.
And now it's me and her. It's no longer 10 years ago when she couldn't speak for herself and we're making those decisions as abazali. Kodwa manje nami ngimoma pile because nginokumphosa kancane once in a while. I used to, as I did say, post a lot, but now just kancane. So because uhlakaniphile siyakhona ukuba nalezo ingxoxo. You know, we're able to have those conversations and she's willing and she's ready. She's already preparing for a show. So I do think ukuthi have conversations with your kids, especially when they're around that age. 8, 9, 10, seba ready. I mean, my boyfriend. Do you have a boyfriend? No. Are you sure? No, I don't. Dad, if I had, I'd tell you.
Sure.
Like, and then boys, you know, we're starting to talk about such things. Yeah.
That's dope. I'm asking these questions for myself, and I apologize. They're not even for the world.
No, it's cool. You don't have to apologize. Sure.
My firstborn son Khwezi, I wanted to podcast with him last year when they were visiting from Brazil. And we did film something. In the thing that we filmed, he ended up speaking about where they based.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, we can't post that.
Yeah, we can't, yeah.
What followed from there is he did a podcast at school with a friend of his about the environment and he sent it to me. But it was in a closed space. And in some of the conversations that I have with other parents, don't bring your child on, don't do this. I'm like, but you can force them. They're like, you can't force kids. I'm like, but we force kids to go to school, to do maths, to maybe take up sports. You're like, it's different. You're like, but that difference is your decision. You're doing it because you think it's what's best for them. And I'm saying, Khwezi must come podcast with your daughter because we feel it's what's best. You guys are going to be the new generation. It's going to be something fresh. I don't want to do it. I'm like, at school, they make you guys do orals, speeches. At school, you might have to do a play where other parents are going to be buying tickets and you're going to be on a stage performing. You don't choose that. But we kind of allow it because it's within this environment that we don't even really control. But when it comes to like, this is going to be my space, I'm going to curate it. I'm going to make sure it's safe, but I want to put my child on, like AKA DJ Zintle, Will Smith, Jada. And then there's that thing of, I don't know. Do you have any idea what we're scared of? If we're happy with our kids being, your child becomes a sports star at school, everyone comes to watch the child, but that's not something you really chose. But this thing that you're choosing to, no, don't do this. It's not good for the child.
We're having the same conversation this morning with somebody else, a colleague at SABC. And I was saying, in that department, she's forced.
Like maths.
I'm forcing her in that department. Because I'm not about to go work that hard and build, businesses that are just going to be left to people who are not interested, right? So in terms of what subjects she chooses to do, anything that is aligned to business, whether it's law, whether it's accounting, whether it's, numbers, business, whatever it might be that is to do with business, I support and I'm forcing it to go towards that direction. But even the other side, because I'm multifaceted, the podcasting side, Leah at least says we've been talking about it now for 2 years.
Sure.
And now she's finally come around, she's ready. And they can definitely podcast. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah.
And let them have a convo themselves. Even now, Noma is a podcaster, she wasn't going to do it with me.
Our daughters are the same age, sorry. They could actually, maybe they should start. She's also 11.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Of course. We earlier with my colleague, we even spoke about arranged relationships and marriages. Anyway, that's another conversation for
We'll chat about it after this point.
Yeah, but mine now is ready. I've been having this conversation. At some point, some things have to be forced upon them. Some things not. Just like I'm forcing this the business side of things towards her, because not only podcasting, even Nomang Tengisa, She doesn't only come around to hang around at Tunya Pela. She even sells.
Yeah.
I even force her to sell. I even teach her to sell. Luckily, she's good with people and she enjoys it.
Yeah.
Luckily.
Yeah.
If she didn't enjoy it, then I wouldn't also enjoy forcing her.
Sure.
But at least it's easier for her to sell a turnaround product. And she does sell. I don't know whether people buy because Ingane or she's cute when she speaks. I don't know. But at least, and I'm happy the fact that she loves it every time. When are we going to sell again?
Yeah.
You know? She loves hanging around in this department. This department sometimes, you know, and you know, that's how they are. Sometimes, but because there's gadgets,
Yeah.
yeah. But I say as parents, let's force them as on a discussion that you've had as both parents.
Yeah.
And then kwezinye izinto lasicabanga ukuthi yini lokho, they can't be forced in some things. So mina it's both.
Because that becomes the argument that I make for people. With the Jacksons, the kids didn't choose. Venus and Serena, as far as I know, they didn't choose. Tiger Woods' son didn't choose. LeBron James' son. They are parents that are intentional. Yes, my father's a superstar. He's rich. This thing makes us a lot of money. But there are certain things where you're like, this is what I know. This is what feeds us. It's the one skill I can pass on to my child so that even if they're not brilliant at it, I want them in the industry because if they're useless at everything else, they can make money here.
Yeah.
And that's important.
Yeah.
Why do you support arranged marriages for our kids?
Because of the type of children I'm bringing up, right? And they're going to live in the world. They're going to go to varsity, bazocholana, whoever. But if it's somehow influenced from an earlier age, it can work, it might not work. Kodwa kubalekile ukuthi ujola nobani, uthandana nobani, uhenga around abantu abanjani.
Are we speaking from privilege? Because this is what kings and other notable people have always done.
I never used to understand.
Are we speaking from privilege, this thing of arranged? Because in Kampe we've seen something?
Yayingidine ekuqaleni ngeke understand because I was that kid ophume ekhaya ukuthi how thina nisifuna ngoba siphume ekhaya sisihluphekele.
Sure.
You know, andifuna ukuaringa abantwana beni bajwele nathi. So bashayela wona lokho. You know, the hood mindset when you're still coming up. But once you become that parent who is, you know, building a business, building a future, caring about the future of your kids, at some point, yes, other people might prefer no. I can never decide who my child ends up with. But I'm one of those parents, I gravitate towards how, you know, royalty does it or wealthy people do it. I am for it. I'm for that idea.
Do you understand why those people would not want or have not wanted their children to be around us? And are we going to be falling into the same trap as them? And your daughter comes home with intwana sethembisa, khuzukele, khuluma kakhulu epapayo, and you're like, yeah, hey, no, versus private school boys, clean, their parents are established, they have a clear plan of where they're going. Are we going to become the thing that we kind of hated to a point where our kids might rebel the way we did when we were young?
Sadly, but yes. But at the same time, I think it would be better because
we come from there.
We'll sort of be better. We will be understanding.
Yeah.
But even the people that they'll still be around, we're going to maybe police them more is not the right word, but maybe we'll control the environment more leniently.
Yeah.
Than what we've observed.
Sure.
Yeah. But me, with what I'm building, I'm feeling But also you need to remember, umhlaba also, khona manje awusafani even another time thina besakhula.
Yeah.
Khona manje izinto eziningi mfethu ezikwenza ukuthi ube, you know,
Sure.
very vigilant. You know? I mean, nanginokucabanga thina bebanokusiyekela unhlanhlathe ngeenyawo sometimes abazi ukuphi you know wena nje hey ingosi yakho she said she's supposed to be here ngalesikhathi and it's an hour later akatholakali hey you know it's like you panic but thina uyanyamalala uvele sabakwatile endlini nani okay thina besiyamajida but I also think sisters as well
to some degree they have more freedom.
Hambe i-distance ngeenyawo futhi esikoleni thina uyifaka emotweni ufuna uyi-drop off esikoleni uyibeke lapha even njengoba le ngxoxo besikhuluma ngayo earlier on of social media you don't post your children with their school uniform as well for such things, you know?
Yeah.
Because we think about, sometimes they say, because you are attracted, but you have to always take precautions.
Yeah.
You know, little things, little mistakes like that, posting your child's school uniform. Yes, people will know anyway, because because other parents are there. There's, you know, family day, parents day, and all of those things that they do. Kotwa, as I was saying, not everything you're going to be able to control, but it's better when you are aware and you are playing a role in influencing it.
Do you think this what happens, not specifically me and you? This is where the new middle class and new rich get it wrong and destroy their children. We grew up in, okay, let's say most new rich, new middle class come from townships and struggle. And when they get to a certain level, they become like this, more intentional, more hands-on. And there's this thing of wealth normally doesn't go past 2, if you're lucky, 3 generations. Is it not this thing of being too involved? And there's a Penuel emadadeni somewhere, there's uSibusiso Tembisa somewhere. They're going to come and eat our kids for breakfast when they are older. The same way we come into spaces and we see all the private school kids. And in many ways, we steamroll them. They try to keep in their cliques, but they don't have that grit that people that come from lesser means have. And I always worry with again, not me and you specifically. The new middle class and the new rich, is it not how we're destroying Inganzet? By keeping them away from, it's risky, it's dangerous. Your daughter will kibela taxi. Usepri, enword. No way, but you're like, but this was life. But the daughters that are catching those taxis have got a grit that when our daughters meet selling in MoFaya, when they meet at a radio station, when they meet hustling, our kids are going to get steamrolled by those kids.
Very good concern, bro. Rather you influence it and you are involved, and rather you're stricter, and whatever happens in the future, let it happen. And I feel, this is me, how I feel. They might rebel, all of that might happen, but it's better because you're still around and you're here, rather than ungeko and impili banzima or iba any other way how in your absence. Rather umusese khona, influence it whichever way you want.
And we become those parents that were too strict on their kids, private school parents, and that's what we're doing.
But I did say it earlier, it's a different nyana because
me and you are different.
Yeah, but also other parents also. The new middle class right now, especially as you're saying, most of it comes from very impoverished environments. You know, Malukshin, Emakaya, etc. But we're a little bit more understanding.
Do you think so? Do you really think so?
Than people who've been wealthy for too long.
Sure.
Yeah.
They better.
Bayazi inhlupheko. Bayazi ifofo masansa.
Abasayifuni kodwa.
Ngiyazi abasayifuni nabafuna ingane zabo bayithinte kodwa ba understand ukubaleka ukuthi ingane emeli yekagogo, ingane emeli yazi ukukhuluma isintu, ingane emeli meli ifeel a little bit of that other life. We're not saying ukuthi ingane emeli manje yohlupheka, no, but ingane emeli yazi ukuthi kuphilwa kanjani emzansi.
Do you think our generation would let our kids jola with ingane zaselokishini? Fully elokishini, abafunde sigeleze elokishini. The parents don't have money, philwa nge-child grant. Do you even think there's a benefit in letting your kids, not your daughters, letting your kids date, befriend, lokshin kids?
Is there a benefit? And we were those kids.
Yeah.
Ingane sometimes nayo umfana njengawo phethe abafana, sometimes it's a bit better.
When it's boys?
I think so. I don't know. I don't have boys yet.
Sure.
Uma ngicabanga. If bego abafana, I'd be a little bit more relaxed. Because even namanje, uma babavakashile kasi, or baye kubogogo ngale, I never mind. But to a certain extent, I mind. Sebabuya nini, ba right now, you're always on the phone, you know, ba checker and all of that stuff. But I think if mhlambe katoku abafana, I'd relax a bit more. But mhlambe ngoba, you know, ntombazana okwamanje you are. I guess now umzali uzala amantombazana kuhlukile than umzali ozala abafana.
Sure.
I don't know how it is now phethe abafana namantombazana. Kodwa with girls, I mean, you know, you are more concerned than with boys. With boys, you are concerned to a certain extent, but it's a bit better. That's what I think.
Your daughter brings home Trevor Noah. No, your daughter brings home a white boy, private school, very wealthy family, 2 generations of money. Your daughter brings home Trevor Noah / Sizwe Mpofu Walsh, some level of privilege nyana, mixed race nyana. Your daughter brings home private school black boy from a family that built money from Amatenda. They were the first wave of BE. Your daughter brings home Penuel, went to an ex-model C school from Newcastle. Khuluma English at Grand. Kodwa wazalelwa elokishini, mama was a school teacher. Your daughter brings home uSibusiso. Yourself. She's like, I know my father's life and this is the guy I'm in love with. This is the guy I want to be with. Of those guys that I just mentioned, do you discriminate against any of them? Do you treat them all the same? Is there one you have a preference for?
I think you're a bit unfair because society doesn't only have those types of guys that you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Society has got other guys as well, Abo Maleven.
100%.
Society has got Abo Aungeli logo, and your daughter is the one at the back who goes, Bachele tiny. Aungeli logo.
That one is out, Maleven, for you.
I didn't say that.
Oh,
I didn't say
sorry.
that. Ngithi phela mele ubale kahle.
Oh, ngiqhubeke
Ngiqhubeke,
ngiyaxolisa. I'm sorry.
Because impilo iyenzeka ngithi.
Yeah.
Impilo iyenzeka and umuntu uphila everywhere.
Yeah.
So, angaletha uma-11 ejardini.
Sure.
And uyamncane uma-11 wakhe.
Sure. Maleven akakusabi wena akakushi.
Yeah.
And she likes that. Oh, this guy's not scared of my dad. Not like these other pop guys. Oh, Mr. Liope, how are you? Exe Ukraine. Eitada. Like, yes, I like him so much. He's so brave.
Ngiqhubuza le ntwana zethu ezinye zinokudelela yethu. Hola. Intwana sathi ngegrotmane yakho asor. But come on, hola. But come on. Sometimes I'll believe khona ezinye intwana la ngaphandle, guys. But then again, with the environments that you control and the spaces that, you know, your children are in, whoever they bring in the house, you're sort of vigilant. Kutubani, and you know, you'll do your own scrutiny, whichever much way you want to. Sure. But nase bahamba ngama trips, bathi basema Cape Town, basema kuphi control konke lokho.
100%.
Yeah, other things you can't control, bro. You just hope for the best, and you just hope that you've done a good job in raising a good, well-mannered kid. Ozoziphatha kahle. You know?
Would you be happy to see your daughter bring home a guy like you?
Sometimes you might not be supportive of it if you don't approve of such a guy.
Yeah.
But you'd rather support the kid because ulo muntu lo abacabanga ukuthi bona bayamthanda, you know. And you might never know ukuthi kuzoyenzakalani, but you must just always be there to support your child. Kodwa ngeke kulwe mayemele break off a relationship. Naseyenzakele. But it's just a matter of mhlambe now being there. Maybe also being involved in helping Lentwana become a better person.
Sure.
Helping Lentwana ithole isipani or helping Lentwana igeleze somewhere, or, you know, so that at least, because Lentwana na empowered ikrendinyana mhlambe might build a better environment for your child as well. So for people like us who played mentor type of a father figure role to a whole lot of other kids that we didn't know, it wouldn't be anything difficult to do. And I think maybe one would rather do that. If ngiyabona ukuthi vele inqosi yami semlethile uma-11, uyabona iyamncane lo ma-11. Mara at least ngoba mina ngiphume ekhaya ngiyaba-understand abo ma-11. Kuyomele lo ma-11 abe yibrayami.
Sure.
Kuyomele ngimdonse abe yintwana engiphila nayo, ngibamba ngamafoni, uchunani, future yakho zikhiphani.
Sure.
Because I'm invested here. Because lo muntu lo ushaya inqosi yami ngenkawu. So kumele ngenze show bamnandi, otherwise inqosi yami yobifakaza lapha emuva. Vele dali akakutsheli lokho. How?
I've seen Musa Mselegu struggle with his one daughter because I think the baby daddy is a guy that he doesn't really approve of. And he's tried that thing of Sondela, what are you doing with your life? And Intwana just is not looking conducive.
Ayizwa na? Nokuze iGrootman ringa lapha na uGrootman uChico. Enhlizami babhlungu nakakhuluma ngolongo, you know.
I've also heard him.
I don't want to lie. Because I think I was one of those number one fans as Chico.
Sure.
So I've always liked him my entire career. Even before,
Sure.
since Dala is superstar,
Sure.
And we look at things like that, you know, how people have parented. Sometimes you can never blame Abazali, how kids turn out.
Yeah.
But in case I mean, especially when he sends out rhetorics, as like, no mintwana kinga or no mingayo. And bese now I beg into what is say kulile. I mean, it's no longer those days as Babo ya jole next when they were young and cute.
Yeah.
So guy Grootman, I think longer is in his what, 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. I don't know if maybe early 40s. I don't know. Segamdala, you know. So if you tamalako, I mean, lisakala ngam nawe. I mean, when you are almost in your 40s, late 30s maybe now. Imagine if you tamala. I think ulongo intanga yakho, yeah. Ulongo intanga yakho. Cabanga umuntu omdala kanje yabona.
I think Chico got him arrested recently.
I don't know.
They opened a case because Ulong, and I don't know if it's one of his brothers or one of his friends, they broke into, I think, one of Chico's studios and took equipment.
Oh, I know
Intwana's got a drug problem. He's been in and out of rehab.
Ish.
And that was another time where Chico was just like, Lentwana, I've done everything, and it's out of my hands now.
Kubuhlungu mfana. Akubuhlungu lapho yabona naso umzali nasekufike lapho I can just imagine the pain that he goes through, and I mean he masters the public life. He's been there way before we ever thought we would be in the.
And he put his kids on the thing we speak about.
Joe
done the best. The kids have been exposed to industry heavyweights. You're trying to be supportive. He's spoken about Ubongani as well. Ubongani is like a son to him. He's tried to support him as well, and then this happens, and hey, you must be feeling hurt watching other lighties or Penuel their age with ish. That could have been my lighty. And that's business better.
That's where I wanted to go to. But you can do all these things and control the environment and provide and do all of, and then they turn out like that. And with everything, and we've heard of such stories.
With everything.
I shot in her next. Khona ezinye ezigile estradini na no. Mara kubo emakubo ba grand. Abanye not ukuthi emakubo ba grand, mara emakubo ba nenyuku.
Sure.
Bamnandi batho banenyuka baya futhi not inyukunyana. Mara intwana ifuna uyoziplomela nje estradini. You know, so those type of things hurt. Nangizo Grootman ring ngentwana those things hurt. So as parents, you can do the best you can.
Yeah.
Everything else, you'll just have to pray and leave it to Unkulunkulu, you know? And if it turns out like that, Joe, it hits. Imagine what Lela Grootman is not like Grootman, who's my blood brother or my blood Grootman, but I feel for him.
Yeah.
And it hurts me when I hear him. And the story Kulmangatsu Nyasazi, actually, when I don't know how true it is, I think naba allegedly banchonche equipment. He did that with his younger brother. I don't know.
I think it was with his brother or with a friend, one of the two. But I think it might be a brother.
Now imagine if intwana akendala eseyisile epusha le into lezi.
Ivuthi intwana
encane manje yo. What does that do to you as a parent, Joe?
And Lapu told the older brother, I sabi time. And that's part of the appeal. Ukuthi sabi time.
And time ngathi le encane ungcono nyana kunayo. Mina time strict more game. Mara kule ngathi lenient nyana. Le mayizwakala.
That's fine.
Nasebagangisa nale. Imagine what that does to the parent. And do you hope ukuthi nasezindala zizoba ngcono? Sezindala already.
Zindala, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm thinking of stories of Lawrence Fishburne. I think if I'm not mistaken, his daughter, I don't know if she got into pornography.
I heard of that story.
And then there was a story of Brian McKnight. There's two beautiful videos on YouTube where he's singing with these boys the national anthem on a stage by a harmonizer. It's parenting goals.
Yeah.
One day my boys are old, but I was harmonize. It's a beautiful thing.
No Wanya.
No Wanya Morris. And he has many boys that now have their own.
I think it's signed with Mary J. Blige manje.
That's too dope.
Yeah, those are goals, you know?
Those are goals.
Yeah. When Maps Maponyane first got into the industry, I looked at him and I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Kudos and big ups to his man, Ubab Max Maponyane.
Sure.
He's parented well. I mean, look at this boy.
Sure.
And Maps still today. I mean, Maps is a solid boy, an incredible boy. So you can't help but give props to Itaimer.
Sure.
They parented well, him and his wife. You know?
Manje, Brian McKnight cut his boys off financially. And the boys were going on social media with and he's like, you guys are old.
Njengo-Jackie
I did
China.
everything for you.
Yokasi simbiza uJackie China.
Check it. But that's a beautiful story, I think. This one is more
Tell it
sad.
for those who don't know.
My understanding of who Jackie Chan was...
It's Jackie China.
Jackie China, sorry.
Umekaza,
Drunken Master, Snake in the Eagle's Shadow. No, I forgot the story, but it's got something to do with his kids are not going to inherit anything of his. Maybe we can speak about this because I've got an opinion. His kids are not going to inherit anything that he owns. I think it's something he said to his son. There's another beautiful video of his daughter watching some of his old clips and then he starts crying. Sorry, you can give more context if you know. Jackie Chan.
No, continue, yeah.
No, I'm sorry,
You're correct,
he's not going to pass on inheritance.
Yeah, basically that's the main point. Which is not going to pass on his inheritance to his kids. So one of the... At the back of my mind, I'm like, but who Jackie China and the thing you got
he owns cinemas in China. I don't believe in leaving my kids anything.
Is it? Why not?
I think people like you and I, because we are curious, because we get around, because we like meeting people and we like learning. You and I have met a lot of millionaires. We've met some billionaires. I'm sure you've met a whole lot more millionaires and billionaires than myself. We've read books. We've read autobiographies. We've studied guys, white, Chinese, black, colored, Indian, that are unknown, that are very popular overseas, local. And you look at these, what we call generational wealth. Whether it's Rob Hersoff now, of which I'm friends with his son, Alex, his father, his grandfather, you look at Johan Rupert, his son is now being molded to take over the father. Abo Yani Moton, his son sits on the boards. You look at Abo O Jr., Kzndlovu Jr., that the father brought in, and Jessica as well. You look at Ndlovu Andile Ramaphosa. You look at
Maponya family.
the Maponya family, Tutuzane Zuma, Tutuzile as well, Tutugile.
Excuse me.
Shout out to Tutugile as well. So you study a lot of these powerful, rich families that are known and some that are unknown. Like the Indians, the Muslims. My grandfather had this wholesaler, and now today we've expanded. We now have properties in London. My mother used to sell, And there's a lot of success stories. There's a whole lot more fail stories, which really break my heart. And I've constantly been trying to find a golden thread, which if I ever build a MoFaya, if I ever build the Hustler's Corner or any other business I'm building, and I pass it on to my kids, what's going to happen? Is it going to destroy them? Because Dr. Miles Monroe says, God doesn't give you what you cannot, or God doesn't give you what you pray for. He gives you what you can manage.
What you can manage, yeah.
Because if you get the wrong thing, it will destroy you. We've got a whole show called I Blew It. Besi Grandy, ngashine you ref, sesiyazondana namhlanje, because through that whole process, there was drugs, ngajontsha lokhu, ngadestroy. We were better when I had no money.
Yeah.
When I had money, I became a monster.
Yeah.
And some people get destroyed by getting money that they don't deserve.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was like, I don't want to leave my kids anything because I've seen my mom come from rural Emakaya, Lalini, into the township, into the suburbs, into moving us to Joburg, and what she's done in one lifetime. It's a big ask for normal people to jump that much. But I'm like, it is doable if we misele. Just to be a school teacher, upile grand. I'm a school teacher. My wife is a nurse. See grand. You just need to apply yourself. Now with generational wealth, once we start going 10 million, 50, 100 million, a billion. Now we're speaking a different mindset. I do not want to die and my kids inherit 50 million. It might destroy them. They might attract the wrong people. They might end up getting killed. Because other people are like sniffing with, hey, time or some chick comes close, I love you so much. Time. Or if it's a chick and she believes in romance, she falls in love with Lumchita. This guy comes and takes the money and moves on. And I don't want my kids to inherit anything. While I'm alive, I would like my kids to buy as far as possible what I own, because that's going to teach them to earn something. If they can't buy it, I want them to work for me and understand what it is that we have. So that at the right time when I pass on, they either inherit and run it, or like Raymond Ackerman's kids, about Garrett, I think they've kind of struggled. They're like, we tried. The time I had Garrett as the chairman before he passed. But because he has the skill and the understanding, he's like, I'm going to pass this on to someone more capable. And I'll just sit on the board and advise and listen. Otherwise, it's going to destroy the kids. I don't think my kids should inherit things just because they come from my balls. It cannot be. They'll end up killing each other. That's the other thing. Kids also kill each other over inheritance. So it's like, no, none of you are getting anything. If you want anything from me, buy shares in MoFaya. Or ozanzo daisi MoFaya. And what I have, ozanzo daisi MoFaya. And then whatever profit you make, you can buy shares in the company. Or tenganama truck and move this product. At some point, the kids that deserve it, you're going to start giving them more than the rest.
Do you think other parents that that share the same sentiments and who've said it publicly, do you think they really mean it? Or maybe when they are gone, the kids will find that they are accommodated in the will. But just in terms of just knowledge while the parent is still alive, do you think kungamabomu ukuthi bangacabanga ukuthi bayo?
I think all the above are correct. I've heard Jackie Chan and Warren Buffett say this thing of,
Yeah, I've also heard it from Warren Buffett, sure.
I want to leave my kids enough to be covered, but not so much that they don't know the value of hard work and earning something. So those wealthy people who have said out publicly, they have whatever in their mind makes sense. It could be, I'll cover your high school private education at the highest level. I'll cover your tertiary for maybe a period of 7 years, so you can also fuck around if you want. I'll make sure that you have a basic 2-bedroom flat townhouse. You have a basic car. And then maybe I'll leave you 2 million rand seed capital. Anything beyond that is going into charity, into the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, into whatever. It's not going to be yours. Or maybe it'll go into a trust and you set up the trust in such a way that you can only access this funding if it's been approved by a bank. If the bank approves it, then my trust will say, since the bank approved, give them the money at no interest and no repayments as a grant. Or I'll only give it on condition that you've done your PhD in mathematics. Or whatever the condition is.
Yeah, I think Michael Jackson did that.
Something like that.
Yeah,
On condition.
He put in those conditions. Yeah.
So I'm saying all the above are correct. There are parents that say these things so that their kids can catch a wake up.
Yeah.
You try.
Yeah.
But I fundamentally think, especially if you're self-made. Now, this is, maybe my stance also comes from wealthy parents that are unknown, that are real self-made. Those people understand business from the ground.
And there's a lot of them out there.
Oh, and the way they raise their kids. Intwana, as soon as they leave school on Friday, balando ipaki. Skadla.
Yeah.
Singolile, give plazini. Intwana yosenging inkomo. Intwana's going to drive a truck at 12 years old. Intwana's driving, he's at an auction, he's lifting. You see this with Afrikaners as an example. And of course, we've mentioned the Muslim families where the kids are doing stock take and whatever. There's something that happens in the mind. By the time the kids come into the business, it's not even my dad left us his business. It's like we have to work. We've been working, we're paying a timer, and then we just need to carry on moving. It's so seamless. So part of why I'm saying the things I'm saying is because I don't live with my kids. Sadly. It was my dream and my wish. But isimo, my life decisions, which can be deemed wrong, and just the dynamics of their mothers and their own lives, choosing to be where they are based and not having ingane close to your time. I don't want my kids thinking my dad might be rich somewhere. When this guy dies, we probably want to be rich. I want them to know any child of mine who has anything of mine either bought it through their profession. Uncle mhlawumbe udlala ibhola for Barcelona and he's like, I'm going to buy the Timers business and then I'll help people run it because he's earned his money. I can't fight that. The next kid, mhlawumbe uSkupu, that I see now more all the time. uSkupu is going to be like, hey, I know everything about the time. With the stock happy, a formula for every flavor of MoFaya. Ngiyazi all the timers he's worked with. Ngiyazi stock, ngiyazi uthi when it's festive season, senza kanje. I know cash flow. Ngiyazi timer la inyuki bengayifaki la ibedila with credit, how to negotiate with. I know all of that. So even if any of you guys inherit this, if you guys don't bring me to run this thing, it's going to collapse. You've got a story of the Coke. They pronounce it Coke in America. The Koch brothers, Koch. 4 of them. 2 are twins. There's an older one and a younger one. The timer built Koch Industries, Coke Industries. They're arguably one of the top 3 most valuable private unlisted businesses in America. Hundreds of billions of dollars made. The twins, the one brother worked with Itimer close by, next to him. And when the Itimer died, he left them all the same value in the business. The one brother's into arts, so he sold his stake to one of the brothers. he bought it. Like, you don't want this thing? Nah, imali, go invest in artworks and invest in theater productions and whatever. The other brother was like, I can be just like time. I can also build something from scratch. So let's say, for example, he left them $5 billion each. He took his 5 billion and he turned it into, let's call it 10 billion. Very capable. The other two brothers are like, Tina, we're going to stick to what the time I was doing and just work. The one twin was like, I don't know what's going on, but I know my twin brother was right next to Itama. Whatever he says, I will do. And both of them end up becoming some of the wealthiest Americans. And last I checked, both of them are each worth $40 billion. Same 4 kids, same inheritance, different capabilities. I'd rather invest in my kids' skills, education, networks, because I know even if MoFaya collapses, my kids are like, my father gave us the blueprint, the skills, the network, the distribution, the friends, we can do this thing over and over and over again. And if we can't, we'll always be hired because we are gold. People know our value. So that's my thinking.
No, I feel you. And I feel like I've always said, man, I'm going to do the same as Michael Jackson did. I'm going to put in conditions. And already now, I'm already making them understand this is like a government position. This is yes, it's a board eating, but when at some point you're gonna rise into the position of leadership at some point in many years to come. But now leadership akuse yakho. Now uzobe uyibambele zakho ingane.
Sure.
And the conditions that are done with the estate planners and the legal people and people that understand how that's done, people who also manage the trust, those are the type of the conditions differ. Somebody else can say when they turn 18, they'll get a car and an apartment. And that apartment must be next to wherever they'll be studying. When they turn 25, maybe they can get whatever. If they get married, when they do get married, they get such and such.
Sure.
Other people put in conditions and say, they'll get such and such when they're 30. And then somebody else will say, no baba ngakhuzu kangakanani mara naseba na 40 sebayazi impilo. Even if ngasekho mara neka seka na 40 sekahlakaniphile nyomgaya. Might not necessarily be the rest, because the rest is also still locked into a trust, and the conditions say not him or not her, but their kids.
Sure.
Because now the inheritance starts covering their kids.
Sure.
Because mhlambe sebazalile ngoba nakana 40 ngisho sekazalile unazo ingane boma 2 or 3. Those conditions apply now to these ones.
At least
so that this thing is generational.
Yeah.
So even in your mind when you sharing the message or leaving it with the legal people or the estate planners, it's not theirs, these ones.
Sure.
These ones, it's exactly as you're saying. Because I'm still alive, they're getting the skills, they're getting orientated into seeing whoever I work with, and all of those things, and for as long as possible for them to also keep on growing up in this environment, for them to learn as much as possible, that skill. But I'll provide the education, I'll provide the little soft life,
Sure.
apartment nyana yokuqala,
Sure.
as you were saying, imeter or 2 meter nyana as sort of some seed capital. At some point, sometimes that's fine. That's life. Let them live.
Yeah.
Let them make those mistakes.
Yeah.
Let them travel in the world. Sometimes the 2 meter now overseas.
Sure.
Because they're a States or a Europe or wherever they want to be, they would like to be. They probably would like to be overseas.
Sure.
That's something little. That's maybe hardly what, like 160,000 US?
dollars, yeah.
2 million.
Sure.
Ngayekas ngaba 2 million. But your kids decide to go live overseas when already your kids are international.
Sure.
Already like 2 meter kuluma ngayo is for all for one for la baba uphila khona. But you do it in such a way that wherever they are going to live, somehow even a currency, considering currency as well. Bazoba naleo soft life nyana and naleo epic nyana or some sort of soft landing.
Sure.
Mar not good manje. Lento le itama nalpore ayayo. No.
Sure.
Not kanjalo. So with that being said, Mina, those are my sentiments. This thing has to be done properly and accordingly with conditions, and lo muntu lo uzoyimanage lento naye.
Sure.
Noma yokuthola lokho akuthola mhlambe age 18, age 21, age 25, age 30 when they get married, or age 40. And then that's it. It applies to their kids. So that you sort of somehow find a way, and with all the best advice that you can get, to make this thing to stretch this thing for as far as possible, which is what people call generational wealth, which was you and I are not familiar to, you know?
Chief Mandla Mandela, I had the privilege of studying with him at Rhodes University at some point when he was there.
Yeah.
And one of the things he emphasized was that his grandfather, the late Utata, Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, was very big on education. And he said, any benefits you want from me as your old man to his kids and his grandkids, you have to have a degree first. That was his condition. 2 quick stories as we shut this down. Number 1, BMW. Number 2, Newcastle. I don't know if it was 6th generation, if I read it at the time. BMW, an heir and an heiress, a man and a woman. They were old food, like in their 50s. And they were being interviewed and they were like, we're not involved in running BMW at all. We sit on the board mostly for advisory and oversight, but they're like, we are not smart enough to run the business that was handed to us. And over our lifetime, we've been learning and studying BMW and we still don't know enough. Our main thing is to try and preserve the value of the family business and then to pass it on more valuable or at least at the same value. But we just work and get paid directors' fees along with dividends from the family trust. One of my mentors, Ahmed Jamluddin in Newcastle, belongs to a very wealthy family in Newcastle. I remember we once spoke. He qualified as a medical doctor in America, was at Michael House at some point, and now he runs the family empire. They own huge property business. They own farms. They own scrapyards. They sell cars and many other things. They're in trucking, long distance, cross-border. He said to me, but I think he was like, bro, I wish I had money. I think I could have been so rich if I didn't work for the family. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I just work for the family. He's like, the businesses that we have are not ours. All of us have a position. He's got a brother of his that he works with that reports to him. And his brother's at the same level as other employees. I'm like, doesn't your brother feel funny reporting to you? He's like, that's his job. He knows that's as far as he gets. He gets his salary, he buys his car, he carries on with his family. I get a salary for the things that I do. All we're doing is increasing value of this thing. We'll hold up based on your ability. And then if ever there's dividends at the end, we all get the same amount of dividends. The only difference between me and Usbuda in the same family is that mina ngi CEO, yena mhlambe drive a truck MoFaya. That's why mina ngihola 3 meter, yena uhola 30,000 per month. But when it comes to the dividends end of the year, we all get our 1 million dividends. If he wants to be me, akahamba yoskeleza, and he must work his way up the company. But he owns shares, and we're passing this on to next generations because they are 3rd generation, I believe.
Bro. That's incredible.
He's like, I'm just an employee. And that mindset for me is the mindset that you will not inherit. Don't ever think there's something waiting for you. We're going to work. And if whatever I'm doing doesn't work for you, there are all these professions that I have huge respect for. Go be a traffic cop. Go be a policeman. Go be a school teacher. Go be a nurse. Go work in banking. Ungahola up to 20,000. If you just apply yourself, coming from where funde, get your little diploma or your little degree, you can have a good life. But if your family has something else, and this is also one of the lessons for people, many of us, if not almost all of us, have at least one family member that's rich. At least one. That family member will never give you money.
Say now we don't have it. Not even one.
Aksue, are you not the family member?
We are forced to. I have to be that one.
To be the one.
Yeah. Yo, it's interesting that you put it that way. Yeah.
Many of us.
Sorry to disturb you.
No, kule.
But I'm thinking, for those, I'm accommodating everyone else where you're thinking, yo, Penuel, many of us, at least one, don't know Araksui one.
Oh, man.
Now I'm in my mind, I'm like, yo, I can't know you.
I know, look, I think your rich and other people's rich is different. I see to Ohola 50,000 and above. Some people are going to be like, that's not rich. But depending on where you come from, you're like, Magui, family gathering, they're the one that buys the cow. They're the one that has the nice car, etc. That family member will never give you money, even though you're related. You could be siblings. They'll never give you money. But I can tell you now, they give strangers money every month.
Anyway.
They don't.
Whether you're family or
but
not.
I'll tell you, they pay an accountant. They pay a lawyer. They pay a banker. So the lesson is, if you've got a rich family member, find out who is on the expense line and figure out where you can slot in. You can get paid by your cousin who's rich because you are his lawyer. But if ufika nje ngomlomo nokuthi awumzala, you're never going to get money. So that should be the same mindset we have for our kids of, I'm building this thing. What value are you adding besides the fact that you came from my testicles? That can't be enough, Ntwana.
This can't be.
Give me something uzohola based on what you're bringing. And then because you're my kid, luckily, if there's a dividend. And then you'll have benefits because in my mansion, you can drive our cars, but they'll never be your cars. It'll never be your mansion. It's going to be inherited by whoever deserves it. When uzohola your salary for working warehouse, for MoFaya, work your way up. And a lot of our family members, besides Inganzetu, they don't have that mentality. We've got cousins, nieces, nephews who are not thinking, the people who Sbuda sat with, let me learn how to edit. Like say mzala, edit. I'm something like, shit, my cousin edits for me because he showed me. He came with the portfolio. Let me come up with a great story. I think I could be a great guest. Let me make some videos and send it to my cousin. Let me not be entitled. I've got a cousin who does MoFaya, but I'm like, manje Sbuda ntwana ungiphetheleni, ngikuphetheleni. Mzala. You've seen me most giving people MoFaya to sell. When I eat ntwana ngicela ungiphathele stock. Once sengivukile, I'll then send you in you to restock. And because you're my cousin, I'm like, yazini mzala, I'm going to give you free stock. Ngendlela opusha ngakhona ntwana yami. Futhi ngifuna uzophatha warehouse yethu. But we don't have that mentality. We have this entitlement mentality, and we must make sure that our kids don't inherit it.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And it's not only like, I guess it's a lot of us.
Sure. And again, to what you were saying, rich people don't just dish out money. It doesn't make sense. The reason they're rich is because they know you don't just give out money. They'll tell you, I run a charity, Mutsipe Foundation, and on Maulambile, no one's soup kitchen. What December, the food pack. Ube beneficiary.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get money from me. How's Radio 2000?
And rightfully so.
How's Radio 2000?
Rightfully so. Thank you for the convo. Those were beautiful points that we touched. It's so much fun, bro. I'm having so much fun. Radio 2000 is mature. You know, I'm still getting my way around it. I'm getting my way around radio. I've not done it in a long time. It's hardly been 6 months.
Congrats.
So thank you, bro. Thank you.
I don't know if I ever said it on a platform with you. Congrats on the gig.
Yeah, but I appreciate it.
Bengithi uyashiya podcasting, but siyabonga ukuthi awusishiyanga. No soul penduka sasithi bayahamba.
Yeah, it's beautiful. The podcasting space is growing.
Yeah.
Radio will never die. Will forever get to evolve. And just to be a part of that building, the SABC is an institution, bro. It's beautiful to be in the building.
You speak about it with great reverence.
Yeah, because it's a broadcasting corporation that belongs to you. It belongs to you. It's not an SABC as if it's some company. It's not a private company. It's all of ours. It needs all of our expertise to come and give back to the country. And it needs our brains and all of this experience that we have to make it better. Right?
90 hours, you mean taxpayers?
Yeah.
It belongs to South African citizens because it's a government state-owned enterprise.
Yeah, that's why more than 90% of people who work there, actually I can even say, I can put my neck on the line and say 95% of the people that work there are people who work, it's as if they're working at their home affairs. Okay. It's a parastatal.
Government employees.
Yes, it just happens to be a media house.
Sure.
And the people that broadcast Abanjengami, it's us that get given those independent contracts.
Yeah.
But everybody else that works there permanently and basebenzeli government.
Like a school teacher, like a nurse.
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's the same thing. But it's a broadcasting space. But what I love about it, 18 radio stations, 4 or 5 TV channels, very big influence in the country. Any business person who understands business, who understands branding, PR, and marketing, all of those things, wants to be in that building. When you're in the building, it's always better to be able to learn so many things that those things can then in turn help you or your businesses. I was congratulating Thibaut Touch for the replenishment concert.
Sure.
Very successful.
I had friends that attended it. This was like 2 weekends ago.
Packed.
Yeah.
Amazing. I had a podcast and music festival just when I just started, I just gone back to the SABC. The reason why the replenishment concept, I'm just making an example, was successful. Reason why the podcast and music festival was successful, it was because of the SABC airtime.
Sure.
When you work in the building and based on the relationship you have, the relationships that you have in the building or the contracts that you have with the broadcaster, you're in a better position to get airtime, to be able to use that airtime wisely and constructively in a productive way to grow your things, or for that airtime to add value into all of the other things that you do. And if to pay advertising airtime for 30 seconds, somebody else or other people pay this much. But because you're already offering your services to the broadcaster, you are in a position to negotiate to pay even way less. So it benefits you to be in that building.
Sure.
And the reason I'm saying all of those things is those are some of the reasons why I went back into that building. I'm also a TV person. I've always been curious about starting a production company, doing TV shows, doing film, getting into acting from the business side of things. And there's other brands that I'm still going to build. There's businesses that I'm starting now. And anything that is to do with business requires those things that I mentioned earlier. Sure. Marketing, PR. You need the SABC airtime. Sure. And it's always better to be inside that building because it is the most influential building in the country. That's the reason why out of all of the SOEs, when it comes to the SABC, politicians are highly, highly involved.
Highly involved
in influencing as to who runs that organization.
Yeah.
And if you are also the news editor or the head of news at the SABC, you're always scrutinized as well because there has to be balance. And you can't just be somebody who prefers one faction or one political party over
the SABC
other.
is balanced. That's one of the unique things about it. It doesn't push the narrative of the majority party. That's interesting.
Exactly. So you as a broadcaster who's also in business, it's to your favor to be inside that building.
Sure.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how much it costs to flight ads? Not necessarily on 2000, but as an average across radio stations?
It depends on what station it is.
But if you were to give like a range, would you go for 30 seconds?
I'm a rate cards are funny.
Sure.
I would make you an example about TV, but the prices have changed now.
Sure.
I wouldn't say they're more expensive, but they're a little bit lesser.
Okay.
We haven't been doing well as a public broadcaster over the past couple of years. So it is a bit cheaper, or it's more lenient to smaller businesses, but it's affordable. Let me put it that way. Let me not say it's cheap. Let me say it's affordable to advertise on the SABC right now for anyone. But let's talk about TV. At some point, to advertise prime time, peak, during generations, to advertise for 30 seconds, it would easily cost you 180,000 rand.
Yes.
Per spot.
And it's not going to be one ad here if you're bringing a brand.
I'm talking about one spot. The ad, that is another money that you're going to pay for that production of producing the ad.
Or to create the ad, yeah.
But to flight it with like I won
180,000.
At that time. I don't know how much it is now.
Sure.
I'm just making you one example.
Sure.
So when you're thinking those figures around there, those are the amount of monies that these companies pay to advertise on the public broadcaster. So that's why people like me were fired then, because we couldn't afford those monies. And it forced people like me to be creative, to want to use this airtime, to want to also, but can get this airtime.
Sure.
Yes, we did it wrong. One was young and hungry and frustrated, etc. But now one is back in the building in a more professional way, in a legal way, in a controlled manner, in a respectful manner where I can still achieve that, but in a rightful manner, as opposed to what I did then.
Sure.
But for an ordinary South African, it's not cheap.
Yeah.
It doesn't come cheap, but it's affordable. It is affordable.
Your thoughts on people saying yourself, Thibaut Touch, not yet, but maybe in time, Gareth Cliff, and I'll add Fresh. These are radio legends. So yourself, Touch, I think Fresh and Marawa were meant to create an online platform, I think, if I'm not mistaken.
Myself too, yeah. We're almost close to signing the deal, all four of us, with Blue Label Telecoms and Cell C. We had an incredible offering that we were about to unleash to the country, but unfortunately, it ended up not going ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Sure. You've got Thibaut Touch that created Touch HD. You had Gareth Cliff that created Cliff Central. You see now Fresh has got What a Week podcast. You created the Hustlers Corner. Of all these, and then there was Massive Metro as well, of which South Africa wasn't ready for online radio. And I think with the disruption of COVID and with the introduction of podcasts, online radio is maybe still going to struggle for a while. Of all these people I've mentioned, you're probably the only one who's succeeded outside of conventional radio, specifically with the Hustlers Corner. All these other guys, and this is me, this is my personal opinion, so if they want to attack me, I'm comfortable. All these others, Touch HD, Cliff Central, I'm not sure how What a Week is doing, etc. They haven't been as successful. And there was a time when people like, Osmood and Abo Touch are back at radio, because do you think they had any merit in what they were saying? Were you guys going back because of paychecks? Was it just strategy or something else? Did the people have merit in what they were saying?
It's not ngaphandle kuyanyiwa ka-entrepreneurship anyway.
Sure.
You know, nathi siqale si-young, si-fresh, sinjani. Khona ma uyasibona sigugela ka-entrepreneurship. Intshebe bampunga.
People don't know that you're 25 years old, but I tell you to now 50. The entrepreneurship, but
kuyanyiwa entrepreneurship.
Sure.
You know, it's not easy to build any business.
Yeah.
The entrepreneurship, it's true. Kuyanyiwa entrepreneurship. And even the people that you admire, that you look up to, even those that share success stories or that only share success in the public or even on their social media, maybe they're just not telling you, Guti, that's not the true reflection of how it really is.
100%.
Kuyanyiwa entrepreneurship.
Want to know Pick and Pay.
Kuyanyiwa entrepreneurship. Ziyabuya boy. Akudlalwa laphana. And it's not for everyone.
Sure. To
start a business is not for everyone. But I'm also glad that the climate in the country of entrepreneurship has gotten to where it is. It's more fashionable to say I'm an entrepreneur,
sure.
But it's good because it teaches people independence, teaches people about ownership, and it invites people to come to Lapik Niwa Corner and go to the trenches and build and know where we're from. When we say to you, we've failed, we've had things repossessed, we've had things shut down, and we started again. When you speak about how many times you failed, you've spoken about your businesses publicly. I have also. And in my journey, it's because entrepreneurship.
Sure.
That's just how it is.
Sure.
So when an entrepreneur finds a way to create another stream of revenue or to open a door over there and participate over there, that's just them being an entrepreneur. And all of the people that you've just mentioned, I look up to those guys and admire them because we're all on the same journey. We're all broadcasters. And what you've just mentioned, what you are not mentioning correctly is that we were all ahead of our time.
Yeah.
Gareth was ahead of his time. Yeah. Touch was ahead of his time. Shout out to a lady by the name of Usisibu Sintuli, who used to be at YFM back in the day. When it was not fashionable to start online radio stations, she's one of the first, if not the first one in the country to start Trans-Africa Radio.
Yeah.
She was already Pan-African in her thinking. And she was one of the earliest to start an online radio station. It's still alive till today. And it's given a lot of people opportunities. A lot of the people that work also at Massive Metro are doing really well in the industry now. So we've also given a lot of people opportunities. But I believe we're also ahead of our time. Sure. And we're just a little bit early onto this thing. And we ran out of money just in COVID. Mm-hmm. When COVID stretched to longer than 3 months, became 6 months, became 9 months, money was not coming in. Sure. And that became difficult and we could not continue. But if you look at the type of content we're creating, the people that we had at the time, we're doing really well. I can only imagine if Massive Metro was alive now, sure, how far we would be. So we're just...
Massive Metro is dead officially.
It's not dead. Okay. It's not dead.
It's not what
it evolved its business model. Let me put it that way. Yeah.
Okay.
It evolved its business model. Yes, it's still alive. We're still trading, but it could be bigger. It could be more successful, right? Touch HD would be alive and be bigger and more successful. And there would be nothing wrong stopping Utabo from still having Touch HD and being at the SABC still.
Sure.
An entrepreneur is an entrepreneur.
Opportunities to make income.
It doesn't mean everything that you're involved in you must own,
sure,
right? It's a good message and it's a noble idea to want to own a lot of the things that you participate in. But you can never beat down any hustler for getting money.
Yeah.
Go get what's yours. Go get your money. If your money kumele uyoxova ingubo laphayana or uyothengisa amapapa kuphuma kuwe, hamba uyokwenza ukuthi ufide ingane zakho. So I've got no shame in what people think of my hustle, but I do know a lot of people are exposed to what I do. But I also think those guys did incredibly well for having the balls and the bravery to go at it on their own.
Sure.
And then Fresh, I'm looking forward to having him back on radio in April. He's coming back. But I'm glad that
Is this announced? Has this been announced?
Yeah, he announced it on my radio show.
Jeez, that's dope.
He's official.
Congrats
He's
to
coming
Fresh.
back. Yeah. So if you are hosting a morning show or an afternoon show, don't be too arrogant because you don't know. He might just be sitting on your chair next year. You know.
Damn.
There's some people abanokhuluma kakhulu. Sometimes ngibabheka kuma social media.
Hey, damn.
In case kubo yazi ukuthi Fresh uzobahleli leso stulo next year. Yadlala guys angizama ukuthusa ngiyaxolisa.
That's tough.
But he's coming back and he's gonna kick ass because that's what he does. He was born for
fucking
radio.
brilliant at radio.
He's amazing. And what a week is going. Don't look at it for what it is now.
Sure.
What it's going to be in 5 years. When you started this thing, not a lot of people thought it would become what it's becoming now. Yeah. When we started, even the Hustlers Corner, when things start, they start small.
Yeah.
But what they become, it's amazing. Sure. But kudos and shout outs to those guys for not stopping.
Yeah.
Gareth, I think, has got investors now and is evolved. I think the name is no longer Cliff Central. I think it's the Real Network.
He's got the Real Network.
And big up to him. And big up to him, bro.
And PH.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
In some amazing studios in Sandton.
Yeah.
Awesome facilities. So for me, those people are hustlers, and those people are people in the trenches, and they know what it's like to go out there and go at it on their own, and they know what it's like to roll with the punches and take the bullets and be in the front line, as politicians call it, the trenches. Ne?
Sure.
To be in the trenches,
grassroots trenches, front line.
Ziyabuya baba, kudlala entrepreneurship ziyabuya, and some of us love challenges.
Sure.
Some of us love rolling with the punches.
No,
Some
you're
of
very
us
good at that.
love being out there.
And pivoting.
Yeah, and pivoting and consistently learning and becoming better every time.
Sure.
So big up to all of those guys. And I'm sure you also admire them in your own right.
Yeah.
Because those are incredible beings. But I admire everyone who started something from scratch. And you can't mention those guys and not mention McG. McG also comes from mainstream radio.
Yeah.
We did incredible work. McG used to do a show before mine at YFM. He used to do the early morning show.
Yeah.
That would end at 6. I would come in at 6 at YFM. Oh. And then he was at Highfeld. But he also did kids TV. But look at what he has built.
Yeah.
The podcast and chill is now a network. It's not just him. It's giving other people opportunities. It's changing a lot of young people's lives. It's got different shows there. And that's incredible. Yeah. From nothing. I mean, a lot of you guys know of conversations I've had with Mekshi when he wanted to give up building that thing. I've even spoken about a public who was supposed to start podcast and chill together. So I know I've seen him how he started from the beginning. I've seen you how you started from the beginning. Yeah. And I've seen all of those guys, what they've started. And whatever they're doing now, it's nothing compared to where they're going to be in a few years' time. And everyone else that we're not seeing, the fact that you've started, whatever you've started, don't look at it as what it is now. Look at it as what it's going to become in time. It's like when people ask me, like, how do you feel about your success? There's trucks, there's this thing is becoming something amazing. Like, so we billionaire, ne?
Sure.
It's like
Miss South Africa.
It's like, no, man. Like, we're still building, and you don't look in your mind. You've passed that. You've in your mind because now, when meant as the entrepreneur, that's why I must be zamashlang. You've seen the success already in your mind because now it's into. So we want to vele say iphumelele. Umsebenzi wakho ukuthi to turn all of those dreams and those thoughts into reality.
Sure.
And that's why sometimes when you do get to achieve, isn't to say, cool, I never congratulate. It doesn't mean that you're not happy. You're happy, but it's like you've seen this and you've even passed that. Your mind is already on something else.
Sure.
Your mind is over there, So God has been good. The journey has been challenging, but I wouldn't do it any other way. I love being in the trenches. I love the difficulty, the challenges. And I just love being a South African and being in the public eye and being called out. You're talking about Miss SA. I was called out also about Miss SA and the issue of one of our young ladies there. I enjoyed that conversation as well. I believe it was also a beautiful, teachable moment.
You don't want to mention her name? Can I mention her name?
Chidima.
Yeah, Chidima.
Yeah, Chidima. Yeah. Incredible young lady. I believe in young people, bro. Like, I love young people. I believe in young people. I believe in people going for their dreams. And
you love black people. You love Pan-Africanists. You're a Pan-Africanist, so...
I don't know whatever you call me, but I'm for black people, bro. And any black person that is going out there and making it happen, I'm for them. MoFaya started out as a street brand. It still is. We make our most money through the cans that are sold in the street corners, and those cans, majority of them come from what people call the informal market space. Cash and carries, wholesalers. I work a lot with the Muslim community, and I've learned so much about business from that community. And those are the people that have kept my business alive. Yeah. And my business supplies the spaza shops throughout the country. And the spaza shops now, they're majority run by Somalis, Pakistanis, and obviously South Africans also, etc.
Ethiopians.
Those are all the people that are in my value chain. Those are
Sure.
the people that, I make a living out of.
Sure.
They're running their businesses, and my business goes out there because of those people. So because it's known as a street hustle brand, it's got that masculinity in it, and they're hustling, hey, they're MoFaya 10 rand,
Sure.
You always think, as we grow this thing and as we can afford a little bit of what we have, what are some of the things that we are going to affiliate this thing with, and in our minds, it obviously comes from the music industry, obviously music, obviously sports. Yeah, what sports? Okay, the biggest in the country is obviously soccer. Yes, soccer. Okay, but for that feminine touch, to start making this thing look sexy, to start making this thing appeal to that female audience,
Sure.
What do we do, and what are some of the things that we associate this thing with? And obviously that's how Miss SA came.
Yeah.
And it was a great opportunity that we're all coming out of COVID. MoFaya wasn't doing that well at the time. A lot of businesses were not doing that well. Miss SA also was not doing that well, as we've always known it to be. So it's always nice to get an opportunity when organizations are not at their peak. Because when they're at their peak, they focus more on the bigger clients and where the big bag comes from.
Yeah.
And you may easily think there's arrogance there. And I was also talking about the SABC. When the SABC is at its peak and it's making a lot of money, it's not easy to get a meeting with anyone from that building. It's also not easy to get your ideas across.
Sure.
But when organizations are not doing that well, then they're a little bit more humble, right? So everyone was at their humble state, and was easier to, if you're a good entrepreneur, it's easy to get a deal with anyone.
Sure.
Especially after COVID, because everyone is humble now. So that's how we got Miss SA. One now is back at the SABC also. It's like if you have to make anything happen, make it happen around that time. Strike while it's hot. Use your negotiation skills to get whatever you can get out of it, and play the role. And double clicking onto Miss SA, I'm glad that we participated in an organization that is an institution in the country. It's been around for many years, over 50 years of its existence.
Yeah.
It speaks to young, it speaks to the girl child. It's sexy, it's attractive, it's inspiring. It's classy. I mean, come on, Miss SA. To look at that Miss SA walk around on stage at Miss World or Miss Universe with that sachet, and you're seeing your MoFaya logo next to L'Oreal, next to Mercedes-Benz. Do you know what I mean? Those are some of the things that we foresaw even before getting into bed with Miss SA. Because when you're growing a brand and as a marketer, those are some of the little things that you think of, Okay, yeah, this thing is doing okay, but I mean, as we keep growing it without breaking the bank, what are some of the things that we can associate ourselves with? And that was our involvement with Miss SA. So when the Chidima issue happened and it trended, I wasn't only commenting from an outsider, I was also commenting as somebody who's got a vested interest in the organization, in the competition. But at some point then I started understanding that this issue is actually not even about Chidima, it's bigger than her.
Yeah.
And even me, this issue is bigger than me.
Yeah.
This is not about me. And that's why I'd easily give out an apology. I don't have any ounce of arrogance in me. If I feel I've rubbed people the wrong way, I might have communicated whatever I might have wanted to communicate in a wrong way. And some people, narratives also get easily shifted on social media. So to manage all of those things while you're affiliated now with the SABC, it's always easy sometimes to be teachable and to be able to be humble enough to apologize if you feel you have to. Not to be arrogant enough to always think you're always right. And when and whatever you say goes. No, I'm not those types of people.
Congrats, bro, on Miss SA. I saw you get dragged. Says I'm going to defend her sometimes, and then we catch stray bullets. There are a lot of celebrities that we cannot rely on to be voices for South Africans, just by the dynamic. So, for example, Ramaphosa, in his position, works with BRICS, he works with the West, he works with the World Economic Forum, with the UN. Yes, we'd like him when he sits on those platforms to represent South African sentiments, but he can't bash other people the way maybe South Africans could. And one of the things that has come true for me, and I think it's a communication thing. There are certain celebrities, because of the power of their celebrity or the markets they operate in. You gave a great example with MoFaya and your stakeholders. I perform in Nigeria, I perform in Kenya, I've got friends in Tanzania. I sometimes gig in the US. Sometimes I'm in London. I can't be the voice of disgruntled South Africans. Or if I am, I need to try and be diplomatic. I need to state because people want to hear from their celebrities. These are their role models, their heroes. Utini Sbuda. And then even with your apology, you come in, you're like, guys, look, I hear you cry. But understand that I work across because people start calling you guys sellouts. Konje, they're trying to secure the bag or Jolofina. Vela ngeke basitshele ngoba bathanda ama-Nigerian or whatever. It's like, guys, there are certain celebrities that I think it's also even unfair for us to expect to comment on certain issues just because of the nature of their work. And I wish some of them could have the skill or the PR team or the sensitivity to when they speak be like, South Africans are angry, I acknowledge. I've been maybe asked to say something, I acknowledge. I hear exactly what you guys are saying. My opinion is this, but please understand we're also dealing with human beings and we're dealing with Africans who are also victims of colonial borders that we didn't create. And today we're fighting amongst each other to serve what. Other issues here we can then take somewhere else, but njoba niloke ningibhesha la uzophuma la after bashing uSibula on Twitter uhambe uyothenga kwiPakistan. Uzosuka la hamba ukhandisa ifoni yakho kwiPakistan. Uzosuka la imedia yakho izohamba iyoshaya inwele with the Mozambican lady. Lo mchita that's busy building your back room waseLesotho. Kodwa it's easy to bash me as a celebrity without looking at yourself ukuthi asihlukanga mina nawe. The difference is that when you were angry, I came and I said something and it upset you. But we're all in this thing and sonke sizama ukuphilisana and we must find a way.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, bro. This has been an incredible convo.
Hayi, we're not shutting it down like that. Usuyahamba.
Angaqedi. No, angijahelanga ndawo.
Hadi.
Angiyabuya lapho
Ngiyaxolisa Khwezindlovu ngithi we shut it down. Hadi.
No, bese ngithi this has been an incredible convo, and obviously the issue of when you say Miss SA, I already know what you're talking about. It's actually not about Miss SA. It's not about Chidima. It's not about Subu or MoFaya. It's a bigger issue than that.
Yeah.
Right? We know the very same issue. Rewind a year or 2 years before, Ndlovu was trending in the media everywhere. Operation Tutula everywhere. Rewind way before even Ndlovu. Rewind even way before. This issue is bigger than these individuals that I've just mentioned. And it's an ongoing issue because these colonial borders were imposed and it was not done by us.
Sure.
The Berlin Conference happened and they cut up the continent to themselves and they left us with this imperialism that has just enforced this mindset that umfowethu uyinja, umfowethu uyabheda, umfowethu uzongithathela umsebenzi, and all of that. And as human beings, siyabantu kuqala before anything else, asiyilwane, Kodwa sithi izinto mazenzeka ngokomthetho. People shouldn't do things that are out of order or breaking of the law. And as I did say, nami even namakhulu amabhayisiwa kakhulu is the informal market space. And where we are right now, years ago, uma saqala, you could already tell then ukuthi hayi man iphaza ngathi seziyavaya emakasi. Yingathi iphaza seziyavaya. And the business now is almost 12 years old, 11 years old. Now we are born with no iphaza sezivayile. So much so that noma uhlele meeting and communicate kanje uyatshelwa from ngaleni ukuthi mina phela ngakufaka yonke indawo. Ibhari kutshela ukuthi ngakufaka ekasi lakho.
Damn.
Kodwa these are the conditions. Ngai prices so asinegotiate kanje. Because mina belong to this chain, to this network. And le network irun abantu engihlangana nabo every Monday morning. So when ufuna ukungena kuyo yonke indawo, country yakho, ekasi lakho, kuzo zonke iphaza. Yithi abantu esizokufaka. Uyangithola. And now ku situation enjalo, you're a businessman, you just want to trade. And when you want to trade, your product doesn't have a skin color. Money doesn't have skin color. But also, with that being said, I understand the narratives of people saying other people sell out. I think the last podcast we did, we had MoFaya all over the table. I did say, we don't sell out. We don't sell out. We always find a way to still get those contracts, to still make the money, but we don't sell out. It's not easy, but we maneuver.
Sure.
And we always find a way. So abantu abamnyama will always have to find a way. But in terms of getting our country back, we have to. Nakhona we have to find a way. It's now up to us. Ngoba amathayima wethu uyabona sewamadala sewagugile futhi. Sekuyitha amathayima. And then njengoba seyamathayima guys understand lezi zinto esizi-understandayo. So kuyithi ukuthi lawo ma-decisions ukuthi silithola kanjani izwe back into our hands. Even just the trading, even ney'phaza. Khona maye qeda ukubhoda iy'ncosi eziyi-5 ekasi.
I saw that.
And you don't know. Le iy'ncosi lezi zibhaye mhlawumbe endaweni wrong, allegedly zibhaye izinto ezi-wrong ngesiphaza. Zadle ukudla oku-wrong, you know, zakhawatheka.
Sure.
And we worry, we are concerned, we are parents. Until how long? You know, so sometimes I even look at politicians. I'm like, amathayima sewamadala wonke. Sekuyini aboMandela bafethu. Sekuyini ukuthi kumele nithathe ama-decisions are serious, ukuthi abalulekile, ukuthi they're not that easy to make. And we have to start thinking like that. It's us. And there's no longer abantu abadala. Nakushadwa kini, nakukhulunywa ngabomalume manje.
Condolences and sympathies, man, to the families. I think, it was 5 children in some Kasi. They went and they destroyed and looted that spaza shop. And it's not the first story we've heard. There have been a couple where kids buy certain things from spaza shops. Their tummy start running, they vomit, they get sick and they pass on. And it's something for all of us to take note of and to do better, including the people that trade themselves. Because they said they found rat poison or something and they don't know if it contaminated some of the food. So even the guys that are trading, because I know a lot of foreigners, whether legal or illegal, I know a lot of them are just trying to make money. They're actually not here to kill people. It doesn't make sense to kill your own customer. So I think Nabo, they also need to be like, guys, we're not here to cause problems. We're here to make money, whatever that means. So let's try and do things better, because if you are an innocent spaza shop owner, you'll also end up catching heat because of someone else who wasn't respecting even your own agreement of respect the customers. Closing topic from my side. This is something you've been dragged for in the past. May Usisi Bulelo Zahara pass on, rest in peace. She passed on. May she rest in peace. We now hear stories of Oma Porisa or something Soweto. There was a trending story, and just recently, last week, I had the privilege and the pleasure of meeting Uputi, Khwezi, Mahomapilo of Ambitious Records. This was one of the conversations I had with him off camera as well. We don't want to learn. We refuse to learn. People get burnt, it trends, it dies down. People get burnt, it trends, it dies down. He had some spicy things to say to me, Khwezi, which were pretty dope, and I hope at some point I'll sit with him on a platform. From your side, having been inside, outside, Grootman, we've met Samgelo together while we were doing work for the Hustlers Corner and Virtual Mkukuma Puris has done so much of putting people on. He gets dragged by different people. TS Records was an institution. It put so many people on. It fed families. Ambitious has given us some of the biggest artists we've had in the last couple of years. Now with Amapiano, now Maporis are getting dragged. What are we missing? Kids are listening now. What would you like to say to them? Because we can't keep speaking about royalties and contracts. And these guys screwed us. And what. And what are we still missing? We can't keep having this every single year. Not just in music. It happens in football. Maybe not spoken about as much in politics. It happens in business where people feel they're being screwed over. There are employees today being exploited, but because they're not celebrities, they don't know. Because they've never looked at their contracts. If ever they looked bangakala now, complain, and you're like, but guys, what are we missing in this whole chain?
And sometimes mhlambe basesebasha bafuna nje ukungena.
They just want to get in.
Even if mhlambe leyo agreement iyabheda abanandaba ngoba mhlambe basafuna ukungena.
Sure.
Mina ngithi talking about from my experience ku music industry emculweni. Kubaluleke kakhulu to understand the contracts that you're getting yourself up into, that you're getting involved in. The thing is with music, it happens differently. Sometimes you record music coming from a show, coming from having fun, and the energies intertwine, and you guys end up just going to the studio early hours of the morning.
We're literally vibing on a podcast.
Even Naman.
The last thing we're thinking of is ownership, IP, who owns, royalties.
You know what I mean? Nathi mina now nasiqala ukupodcast, savele sa podcast. Sa decide thina sesixoxa into serious later.
Sure.
And that's not the right way to do things. But then again, even sometimes don't we need advice? It's like, but that's not practical. Like, do you see a kid who's just happy to get this opportunity all of a sudden now saying, yeah, I'll go to a 1, 2, 3, and 4. Because this kid at the back of his mind is thinking, umangati. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But we emphasize on, even if it's not yourself, a representative, even the following day after the song has been done, a simple thing like a split sheet. Just ask for a split sheet. What is a split sheet? A split sheet is a simple agreement that sort of gives guidance as to who participated in this musical work that was put together. That's what it does. And then it's easier to
This can be informal.
A split,
paper, signage.
We can just write our names and just write whatever we agree upon in terms of percentages.
Sure.
So ngathi sila mhlambe si 5 in the studio khona manje. We've just created something amazing. You did the hook, you made the beats, you composed this, and you came up with some dope lines. You might not have said them wena.
Sure.
But the manner in which you said them, you inspired him to come up with another idea. And in whatever he came up with, he probably might not have known how to say some things in whatever language. And this guy who's here just translated to him and told him how to. So it's important afterwards to have that conversation while that song or that experience is still fresh in all of your minds. It does not have to be that day, even if it's just the following day. Oh, geez, we did a masterpiece last night. We had such a great time. But in my mind, what I have in my mind is this. I can even easily send a WhatsApp. This is what I'm suggesting. And especially the person who's going to suggest is the one who sort of might probably be playing a bigger or a more prominent role in that recording that happened last night. Maybe it's this person who got us together, Izolo. And maybe the person who got us together did not even get involved on the mic.
At all.
They did not compose the music, but they got you together. But do you know that in musical language, that's a producer? A producer does not necessarily mean a beat maker. You see, all of those things, it's things that young musicians need to understand. That you've got a right to say, I might not have sang it, but I was in that room. And when we were doing this, I might not have written it down, ball pen pants, but I wrote that part. Because I even told you guys what it means, and it says this, and Ubanbani sang it. I might not have sang it, but Ubanbani sang it. So you've got a right also to say, but guys, come on.
I contributed.
You know what I mean? So that's how music happens. And we don't know which part made the song a hit.
Sure.
You know, that person gonna say, but it's my beat. I created the beat. It's the beat that made it a hit. But that other person gonna say, it's the hook.
It's my hook.
It's my hook that made it and the other one's gonna, but I wrote that hook. But this other one's gonna say, no, but it's my voice that I sang whatever you wrote. So the way I sang it, it's a hit because of me. But there is no scale to check if it's a hit or not. I'm just making an example with just one musical recording.
Yeah.
And then there's all these conversations around a recording deal, being signed onto a label. What type of a contract are you getting into? Are you getting them to be involved with you on a 360 type of an arrangement where they're also involved on what you perform, on the songs that you're going to, do you know what I mean? So this thing is complex. Then the more difficult it becomes, the more people who've been in it for a while or who are legal people are in a better position to advise the younger musician. But the younger musician, even those who are not musicians, but who happen to be in a room of composing something amazing, the simplest way you can want to, at a later stage, make things easier for that experience that you experienced last night, split sheet. Split sheet, guys. And then in that split sheet, ngoba si-5, mhlambe singadecide, I said, oh, okay. When mhlambe and we can all agree with, okay, you created the beat, you came up with this concept. Maybe you also got us together. You called us up. We even recorded in your studio. Mhlambe you could say, Jens, I propose that I own 50% of the song. And all of you know 3 or know 10%, 10%, 10%, whatever. Or 15, 15, 15, 5%. Or 30, 30. You know, it depends. And that conversation will be had by you guys. Go to Ubanbani, yes, they did play a role, but that role was minimal. But on a song, you can never say a role was minimal. Mhlambe, that's the part that matters the most, that people sing the most. So because you can't measure as to what part is more significant or more important than the other, that's why the split sheets are important to sort of give guidance as to what are the lawyers going to put on that formal agreement when they get involved. But for now, it's just manager to manager or artist to artist, producer to producer, rapper to rapper, or you know what I mean? Split sheet. So what are you agreeing upon from what we made last night? It's better to have that argument that is uncomfortable than having it at a later stage when it's going to trend, it's going to become a big issue.
In you when the song is in Jerusalem and it's traveled the whole world.
Bro, somebody told me yesterday, and I don't know if they were lying.
Sure.
I even forgotten their name. Oh, we're from, not yesterday, this past weekend. We're at General's funeral.
Yes.
Brother comes to me and he says he was involved in the production or in producing, or he was one of the producers or composers of Ucholabam. I'm like,
by the way,
you know, good that song has been nominated in the Grammys, and it's a global international song. You see, sometimes you get involved in a song, and it's a song like that that becomes a Jerusalem.
I wanted to say rest in peace to General. I'm sorry. While you were speaking, we've lost so many legends. There's this thing that became a joke, and then I think in a conversation with Unota, he almost solidified it, and I want to hear your opinion.
Yeah.
It was my house, it was my electricity, it was my computer. And what. The merit of saying, or the importance maybe, for people to understand, you're speaking split sheets. Where the song gets recorded, on whose hard drive, you've already raised something important of who brought the people together. That could be a producer. Even something maybe as silly as, I hosted you. I fed you guys, so I contributed in the creation of this thing. And your thoughts around that, where I can be like, I've set up a studio. I'm not into music, but when people come to my studio, I either own the masters of the song or I have a contribution because they're recording at my studio.
In answering the question, I'll start from saying this line. Whoever pays for it is the guitar player. And whoever slants the guitar, yellow dance. Whoever pays for it owns it. They might not have paid for it, but they own the resources that it was made in. And in some stories that have trended on social media, it might have been presented maybe in a harsh way, and the narratives might change based on whatever or whoever understands what, as far as musical rights or property, intellectual property ownership is concerned. People who understand it are in a better position to explain it better. Yes, it sounds harsh to say recordele studio sami, therefore I. That's why ngithi ama-split sheet are important. Because umuqeda ukuphuma kuleyo ndlu leyo ekungaseyakho emshinini wabanye abantwana futhi u-invitiwe, and you did not create the entire song, you contributed. So it's important for you to be honest with yourself out of last night's experience, umuyibamba leyo phone to say, this is what I propose out of what we did last night. Now you would know those are not my resources. I was invited in that environment. I did not. So you'll think I'm liable to at least 30% of that song. I'm proposing, I'll send a split sheet that I think, and then you can push back and then maybe consult amanye amajita or think fully WhatsApp group negotiating. Then you can negotiate there, then it's better. But what trends, and people make fun of Maporisa for having said, hey, Studio Esake in has got some sort of merit. He does.
He who pays for it owns it. Do you think this is now going to, on two
Not
sides?
all of it. Not all of it.
The master is not his in a situation like that.
That's
Just as an example, you film, you record the song at my studio, I feed you, I house you. You guys can create the beats, you can come up with the music, the lyrics, you can record, but it's my space and it's on my hard drive. Do I not own the master as a default?
Good question. Good. I love that word default. I was about to go there. I was about to say in music copyright law, there's something called default ownership.
Yeah.
If it's a court case, they go to that
To the default.
to that default ownership. By default, who owns it? And on default ownership, it does say that. It speaks about whoever provided the resources or paid for it and was in the room when it was created and they had some sort of contribution. They're liable to some ownership. But if in case that ownership did not happen, that conversation did not happen, but just by default, let's say labantu sebashonile.
Sure.
The first step to take is to go into that default music law, default law, whatever they call it, I just forgot what it's called. There is that. Ukuthi lo ibhatalele wa provide ama resources. Wayenza ukuthi yenzeke. Ukuthi if bekengekho loyo muntu bengeke yenzeke lento. They pretty much are in a better position to own a big part of it.
Could it happen as well that I pay for studio time for talented kids, and in paying for them, I'm gonna own the master?
So if
It's not my studio.
Yeah. If I'm using these facilities and mina nawe when I wenza le conversation yaba possible, kodwa labantu labesebenzisana nabo lese uhlala usebenza nabo wena. Kodwa ubabhatalile for le recording abasangeni lapho. Because there was an invoice that was provided to you ukuthi ngiyanibhadala.
Sure.
And ngizelela just ukuzosebenzisa i-studio zenu ngoba abanye abantu uthola ukuthi vele that's their business model. Ba hire i-studio out.
Sure.
And producers come, record the music, pay them, and they're out of it. Just like with musicians. There's musicians who are session musicians. There's musicians who are not necessarily session musicians, but they might just do a session and say, I'll charge you this much for that session. But then because they've charged me for a session fee, default law says ukuthi bayibhatalele a session fee as a session musician ushaya ama background vocally uye washaya session guitar ya ediwanyana laphayana uye wadlala leyo ngxenye then they don't have any grounds to claim for royalties later unless uma baseyenza lo session bathi don't pay me for this session fee.
I'd rather get
a percentage of the royalties. And then that brings in that question again, what's the split sheet? What are the agreements in the royalties or the ownership of this song? There can be those that participated in this song, but then you're talking about a very important conversation now. Who owns this master? So if it's my album and I'm asking for features, I'm going to have to provide for all of these people an environment such that they can help me record and put this album together. So there has to be a way on how I remunerate these people. And how I remunerate them is I'm going to get into conversations with each and every one of them for each and everyone that participated in each song. Ukuthi bafuna ukubhataliwa kanjani. Session, bafuna not to be paid upfront, bafuna to participate in the royalties, or bafuna, so there's different ways on how we agree on this thing. That's why ngithi the easiest way or the easiest thing for anyone to remember out there before the conversation gets too advanced, split sheets. That guides what you guys agreed upon that night. But because it's by album yami and ngifuna we own the master, I can say, let's co-own the master. Ngoba mhlambe it's a Scorpion Kings, it's Kabza and Maporis. We co-own the master. When if you feature engomeni ukuthi mhlambe bese ngiqalile mina, and mhlambe it must be done in a friendly way. But can I please have this song, bro? Yeah, but it's my song, bro. But can I please, bro? I want it on my album. It can happen. You end up owning the master because we had a candid conversation and you asked to own the song, and upon owning it, then what do you give back? Okay, when I uzoba liable for. But because it's gonna be on my album, I want to own the master. Therefore, you have to give something to get. So I'm a conversation awafani. That's why abantu abanga understand umculo who are outside. Abantu abanga understand this is sikahle ibhola. Abanye siyalthanda ibhola nomculo siyawuthanda. So we all have opinion as far as religion is concerned, as far as sports is concerned, as far as music is concerned, especially in the black community. Nase America. Uhlala wabona amanika lapha ku social media nabo. The very same fights they always have. It's similar. Khona manje there's fights with why ujika ngakhethanga Little Wayne kusekasilaga Little Wayne. It's a similar thing. Nangayi, I must stand Limpopo. Why ningafaka ngomakhathi there? Why millennial? It's because black people are so passionate about sports, religion, all these things. So we'll always get ourselves involved in these conversations. But kodwa sometimes us understand the arrangements, nama contracts or imvumelwano that these musicians or these record companies did in those boardrooms, and we also don't understand what they signed. We might be pissed off with what they signed. But it's what they signed.
It's what they signed.
And they agreed to it because they signed. They put it on. You might be mad at them. Mhlambe maranabo when they signed, they were hungry. Then
I'm gonna raise a concern and then I'm gonna ask my last question.
Yeah.
My concern is that.
Can I also ask you my last question?
No, please.
Okay, thanks. Sure.
My concern is that with all these things that are happening for some people, Now you're recording. I'm like, say, can I hoy a hook? You want to be like, hey. Next thing you want to be claiming. So certain music and art, because I mean, music is art, it's expression. We won't get the best of it because people will be kept out because sesiyasaba manje. Which if I feature you solo later. Other people are going to be not want to jump on because they're scared of being exploited. Don't want to come to our jamming session. I'm not coming there. I might contribute and next thing we're fighting over music or I'm not going to sing. How do you think we can improve the song? I can't. Because we don't want to get into these fights. We want to keep people out. We're not making the best art and we've lost the essence because we're so focused on split sheets, the percentage, etc. My question is this, going back to Ambitious, because some of the people that complained were Aries, MT. Of course, they had other fights with Fifi Cooper. Amanda Black, I think, ended up winning one of her cases. Black Diamond won one of their cases. I don't remember who's Java fighting with them. I remember Ntabase Dubai having a problem. They've fought with a lot. And these are the things I'm going to raise with Khwezi when we sit. Can I have a bit of money? I find 5 talented kids. I put them up in a flat or a couple of flats. I organize them transport. Maybe that's paid for by me. Let's not speak about gigs. Let's just speak about the product, the music, maybe albums, streams, royalties. Can I bring 5 kids, pay them 10,000 Rand each per month? I'll pay for their studio time. I will pay for whatever software they need. I will pay for their music videos. If ever there's payola, bribes that I need to pay for radio stations or whatever, I'll cover all of those things. Let's forget gigs. Can I own all of that music? And these kids are making beats, coming up with creative ideas, performing, singing, what. And they're almost like session musicians that are on a payroll. All the music they make, I bring Master KG, I bring Usisu, Jerusalem.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna pay you guys to chill with me under my label or whatever. Whatever you create, almost like working at a bank or working at any company, whatever you create is my IP. Gigs, we can discuss separately. If you're charging for gigs, who gets paid, whatever. But just here, under Ambitious, I'm using Ambitious as an example. It's just an example. I'm not saying this is what happens. Can you pay people salaries to create music and I own all the music and I earn all the royalties?
Recently, a song surfaced into my ear and I fell so much in love with the song. This is now. This is just now, 3 weeks ago. Dope song. I did not do nothing on the song. It's not my song. It's a song that landed in my ear because they sent me a WhatsApp voice note, like on a WhatsApp.
Audio file.
And then I listened to the song, then I listened to the song, and then I listened to the song, and then I listened to the song. And then I'm like, can you please, and the person that sent it to me, it's not them that made it, but they're affiliated with the kids, I'll say the kids for lack of a better word, that made the song. I'm like, ngiyayifuna.
Sure.
Ngifuna ukuyirelease, ngifuna ukuba uDJ Sbu.
Sure.
Right? But before I said that, I said, can you guys send me files? I'd love to rework on it. There's some things that I think I can even make it a better song.
Sure.
But when I saw Guti, that did not surface. I could feel Guti, there was resistance from the people who made the song. I don't know. The person who sent the song to me did not make me meet the people that made it. Sure. They sort of played, I don't know, middleman. Yeah. That person owns a label. I mean, I think this person always gets songs. It's not like it's just that one song. They always do. But for some reason, they thought of me on that song and they sent to me. So they were not interested for me to work on the song. Then I felt, okay, mhlambe the people who created the song, they don't want any remixes. They don't want it done, touched or anything. But then I thought, mhlambe bazothi uSbu uyizwile encane le number. He'd like to work on the song more. And when I felt some sort of resistance, and then I was like, okay, ilobe linjalo ke. I will not rework the song. Ilobe linjalo. Sure. I love the song. So you can participate in that song without having done nothing to it. But nasesixoxa sesikhuluma is we are interested to give you the song, but we want to own the master. you did not do nothing to the song. And I agree, I did not do nothing to the song. But I'm interested in it. And with my role in this is a dope song. As to tell you the truth, they actually even released it. You know, but obviously they're still up and coming. The kids are not known.
Sure.
I believe this song can be a bigger song. I think it can be a dope song. And I believe I can help them make this song a hit.
Yeah.
It's a big song. This is what I think. Right? And I'm like, but I'm going to come in with my expertise, my money, my name. I'm going to throw all the resources that I have to make sure that it becomes a hit song.
Sure.
Konamanja, you guys have just uploaded it, 2 weeks ago on the digital platforms. It's not like there must be noise now, but because it's a dope song, it'll still be dope anyway. There's millions of songs that are released daily, but pelele moyeni. With me even having done nothing to the song, but if I throw my resources and I want the song to be mine and blah, 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 and then the guys, let's say they agree.
Sure.
I can negotiate, which is what I'm doing, Konamanja, to say, okay, maybe let's say the guys say to me, they are agreeing, but they want to own the master.
Yeah.
And my pushback is, as much as I did not do nothing to the song, once I attach my name to the song and I use my resources to push the song, it's going to make a difference. It's going to make it a successful song.
Yeah.
So I would like to propose to co-own the master together, all of us.
This is separate from royalties.
This is separate from royalties.
Okay.
This is separate. This is just the ownership of the master.
Sure.
And on the split sheets, Vela, you'll agree with, okay, maybe let's also own it all equally. There's 2 people who participated in the song. It's the vocalist and it's the beat maker who then doubles up as a producer as well. Let's say the producer and the vocalist.
Sure.
2 of them made the song. It's a dope song. Sbu wants to participate. He did not do nothing on the song. He proposes, he'll throw his resources and it'll be a DJ Sbu and Banbani's song.
Sure.
But the guys say, no, we want to own the master. He can come on board and be a part of the song, but we don't want to give away master ownership.
Which means you'll enjoy some of the royalties.
Yeah.
But you won't own the song.
Yeah, but I'm saying to the guys, but let's co-own it together, everything equal. Let's co-own the master equally. Let's also co-own everything, split sheets, everything equally, right? And that's a conversation. Let me park that aside. There's a reason why I'm saying all of that.
Yeah.
Berry Gordy ran Motown. Yeah. That's what Motown was. Motown was a machine. He created Motown after General Motors, where Ford and what are the other brands, Gonje? Grand Central Motors, the brands that are there. About GMC, all of those brands.
The American car brand.
The car brand, from Detroit. He was inspired by the Ford Motor Company or the General Motors Company. He studied and understood their value chain and how they make this company work. There's a manufacturing plant where this drink is manufactured. There's people that work there. But before it goes into a can, there's ingredients that get put together. They come to the lab, they get tested. The people that work at the lab, and then from there it's going to go into a can. These cans are controlled by these machines, and when it comes out of here, it has to be packaged. From being packaged, it must get into cases, it must get into pallets. From pallets, those pallets should be out of there. They get picked up by forklifts that then get to put into a warehouse. But for them to move from one warehouse to clients, now trucks must come pick. So this is an entire machine. It's a value chain.
Sure.
That's what Berry Gordy did when he created Motown Records. There were songwriters, there were music publishing, which was in-house. There was the marketing side of the company, which was in-house. There was PR, which was in-house. There was the radio division that deals with radio on a daily basis. Everything was in-house. Everything that you've just explained. And that's how TS Records was one of the companies that sort of somehow came up with our own business model that was almost similar to that in a smaller scale that made us successful. That's how or what 999 was.
Oh, Mafukati.
That's what, yeah. Oh. He had a working machine. He had people that deal with the media. He had people that sample radio. This was a machine, right? And all the way to name all of the labels, most of them, they used those or that type of a almost similar model. It's the same with, this is me from a distance. I don't know Khwesi's company, but this is what I think he was able to put together.
Yeah.
This is a system. And sometimes when you're outside of the system or when you're in a system, it's easy for you to think Metro FM is popping because of me. 2000 is popping because of me.
Yeah.
If I leave here, is over. It's a machine. It's ngegiwe.
That was generations.
That's why people would
when it had to
even
be the
say
legacy.
Gyabanda outside the machine. People
Sure.
would say Gyabanda outside the ANC, Gyabanda outside the SABC, Gyabanda. Why are they saying that? They're saying that because there is this working thing. You are not different from everybody else that has come out of here.
Sure.
You just so happen to be made to become this brand that you think people love you, but they love you because you're here.
Sure.
Yes, as you go on your own, you'll still have a lot of people that love you, but you don't have this machine.
Sure.
So you're going to have to spend a lot of money ngaphandle kwalento. It's the same thing with in the music industry. So how does the machine get back its money though? If it's a soccer team, it must win cups. It must win the league. It must win all of these things. But it must provide a training environment for all of these players on a daily basis. It must travel around or move around 20 people in the whole country every week. It must house them in hotels. It must put them in holoplanes. It must put them in these combis. It must, at some point, make sure they've got some sort of apartments or where they stay. Like, where do you think all of that money comes from?
Sure.
And like, can they even afford? Like, how much money? Somebody was telling me to run a soccer team a month, at least. You need anything minimum 3 to 5 million a month to run a soccer team.
PSL
a month.
team.
Yeah, so I hear. Right, I could be wrong.
No, I've heard some of these figures at PSL level.
But I'm definitely sure it's over 1 million a month. Who's popping out that money? And if they don't win the cups, if the songs that come out of that company are not hits, so then what the machine does in its contracts with their legal team, there would be exploiters, but legally it would allow them to exploit. That is if baninhliziyo zokufuna uku-exploiter, to say uzosebenza la uzoyenza lokhu kuzoyenzakala kanje si-owna yonke into wena sikubhadala every month.
And those are normal corporates.
And those are corporates.
Never mind
That's what
entertainment.
happens
I work at a
anyways.
bank, ngolu 20,000, but the work I'm doing makes the bank 200,000. It's got nothing to do with me because I get my salary in Shaispan and I don't own any of the IP. It belongs to the bank.
But in my industry, most record labels, what they've done is they're always saying, let's co-own things. So you'll find Uguti, an artist owns their own publishing. Publishing is the musical, is the organizations. There are organizations or companies that collect publishing money on behalf of artists.
Abo Samra.
Yes.
Okay.
Kanjalo. And abo maning, abo share, could be like Samra is a different type of an organization, but it's also a collector for musicians. Because as a musician, you are liable to different royalties. Mechanical royalty, there's different royalties. I mean, we can go, and that's another topic for another day. We must invite a musical professional or legal person to explain all of these things. But mostly, when you have agreements with artists, is own your own publishing so that the music is registered or your publishing is registered under your company, and also have split sheets so that in each and every song that you participate in, for all of the companies that are going to come on board and the legal people that are going to come on board to assist you in collecting your money or to assist you in lawsuits at a later stage or in whatever fights that might come in the future when these songs become hits, rather have these agreements, as I was saying to you, split sheets. So most companies who create those machines are always lenient enough to musicians to say, let's co-own. So they usually co-own. I've never heard, this is me, I've never heard of any record label that has owned everything and an artist owns zero. I've never heard of that. But mostly you'll also hear of record companies losing. Because I've had this artist for like 3-4 albums and this artist has never had a hit. And, he's been looked after all along.
Spent a lot of money.
Yeah, but then again, different people sign different contracts. I think usually that's the role of the record company. That's why I'm the example I'm as an individual. To say I can provide the resources, but I also want to co-own with you. So it's usually what the record companies have done. To say we provide all these resources, you provide your intellectual talents, and then we co-own all of this thing together. But they're not wrong, those ones who want to own everything, especially if the employees agree. If they agree, they agree. Whatever you agree to, you've agreed upon it. At a later stage, if there is a court case, you agreed to it and you signed. What contract did you sign? Sure. So that's why we advise people to always get legal assistance to understand what they are signing. Yeah,
this might be how I get into music. I'm asking for personal. I get a lot of, I'm sure, not even I'm sure. I know for a fact your DMs are 1,000 times worse than mine. I get a lot of people that send me music. I blue tick them. Whether it's on WhatsApp or someone else, they send me a link. I don't know anything to do with music. I'm not interested. I'm not involved. I always feel like the idea of taking a song and when you are nobody. But now if I can turn it into product where one song can pop on its own, and you're telling me there's a way that if I provide certain resources, I can either co-own or fully own the master, or even if I don't own the master, I can be involved in the royalties because I've helped put the song on a podcast. I've interviewed the artist. I've connected them to DJ Sbu. I've asked certain people for favors at university campus radios to play their songs, and the song pops without me singing, writing, anything, because people feel because I have a platform, I can get involved and maybe I can expend resources. This becomes an opportunity, but obviously you'd want to educate people. And I think I was asking for myself. I want to give a shout out, man. Rick Ross is my favorite rapper of all time. So unprofessional.
Chickens, man. Chickens just running around.
Someone was just laughing at my opinion.
We're farming chickens, man, to quack quack all over the yard.
Officer Ross.
Police reservist.
I love his flow.
Officer Warden Rick Ross.
I love him. I love him on, what is this track? DJ Khaled track, Jigga, Lil Wayne, and Rick Ross. What is that song again? The last one they did. The last
recent track.
Anyway,
no, I don't know.
Jay-Z's verse trended, man, for quite some time.
It's got Lil Wayne, not Meek Mill.
No, it's got Wayne, it's got Ross, and Khaled. It's Khaled's song, yeah. Anyway.
There's a line in one of his songs, I'm very Cody to the streets. I know Rick Ross, like Jay-Z, not sure about Drake. There's a couple of artists that like dropping game in their lyrics, and Rick Ross is one of those. I'm Barry Cody to the streets is one of the lines. And I've heard about Barry Cody, but I think you're the first person, because I've never had time to go research. You're the first person to explain the impact of Barry Cody and what he is and who he was and what he did. And that's so impressive. I'm now going to go research further, because Henry Ford is a god. Ray Kroc and McDonald's and that conveyor belt, which was inspired by Henry Ford, is a god. And now you're telling me Motown Records was also built on the same conveyor belt value chain. So I'm going to go do research on that. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. I've learned a lot, and yeah.
That's what Maporisa is, by the way. He's a machine.
I've realized he's like a DJ Khaled, and at some point I also wanted to ask about Prince KP and TNS, because I never did research in the story. Club Controller, which then became Busisa.
Busiswa, yeah.
Busiswa.
Yeah.
What's the name of that song? Not Club Controller. The one that came after. Because it's got a template of the same beat, and I think it was TNS. No, man. That's the name of the song.
It is Club Controller, yeah.
No, not Club Controller.
Not Club Controller, bro.
It was Club Controller, and then KP released another one with the same template with, I think, in TNS. And I always wanted to know if, did he get this song and then whether add his flavor or his own, and then Bano Moya.
Oh yeah.
Prince KP, Busiswa, and TNS. Because when I started to do notes, this was one of the other things he spoke about. Which, look, I'm coming to Sbu, or I'm coming to Maporisa, I'm coming to... Sometimes, as DJ Khaled, as Maporisa, as Black Coffee, I don't need to do anything to the song. For the fact that you're going to put my name on it. Maybe you can even pour all the resources. You'll shoot the music video, but you'll say Black Coffee featuring Penuel, the Black Pen. I want to own the master or co-own the master or whatever. I've heard the song. I like the song. I'm not going to do anything to the song. I'm not going to make a video. I'm going to do nothing. But you're going to use my name. Therefore, I would like to have, because you know who I am.
I think a better way would be, and I get you, and you can't get that. Because in the beginning, kids are hungry. They just want that
kids are hungry.
opportunity.
Sure.
So it's up to you how you play.
You play on me personally.
Yeah, ngisho.
Exploiting,
you can call it exploiting, but
Andrew Tate music,
I think because nembeza,
Sure.
you would always say, okay, cool. The resources come from me, and if I participate in it, it'll be a hit. Let's co-own.
No, I'm the type of person that would explain exactly to a kid the cost of taking this thing to market, the potential upside, and then the downside of this thing's going to cost nothing, and I'm going to lose 5,000, 10,000, 100,000, 200,000 trying to get this thing out there. And I need you to understand that risk. Obviously, as a hungry kid, you just want fame and whatever. You're not going to say, look, if this thing flops, you owe me anything. It wouldn't work. But it's like, you need to understand that we're either agreeing that I'm going to own this thing, and if it ends up making 50 million, it's mine. Or it's going to make nothing and we're taking a risk. And
kids out there don't allow Penuel to own everything. Even if it's his resources, negotiate with him with Penuel. But can you equally own at least?
There's a mutual friend that we have who owns recipes to some of our favorite products. I've had him here and he just didn't go into that detail. And maybe when I have him again, he'll go into it. I don't know if it's sensitive, maybe. Some of our favorite drinking products, hot beverages, I don't know if I'd say detergents that are popular. He owns. Yeah, there's so much I realize I don't know about the business world and I'm constantly wanting to learn.
But he owns parts of each and every, right? Not like he owns everything, everywhere. Because
so that's what he'd have to clarify.
Yeah, but also,
let's say as an example, I'm like, oh, MoFaya. I own a recipe MoFaya. And you're like, what does that mean? You're like, oh, for every MoFaya daiswayo, minangtola 0.05 cents. Because George Sombonos of Chicken Licken used to travel to America back in the day. His father would give him money to travel. They owned a fuel station and a cafe. The mawas la daisa ama slab chips. Intwana goes to America, he tastes like music. He tastes this chicken, it's dope. He's like, I want to make this chicken. The person's like, I'll sell you the recipe. He paid him, he took the recipe, came back to South Africa, he started making this chicken. People would come and be like, where's the chicken? He was like, we don't sell chicken. So no, and that became Chicken Licken. So I'm just saying, I don't know how these things work, if it's possible, because that's what he tells me. And hopefully he'll come back and clarify what does it mean to say I own the master of Jerusalem. There's Master KG, there's Unomcebo, but la Penuel. What does it mean to say, let me use an example. I'm going to use an airy fair example. Let's say Rikofi. I own a recipe Rikofi. What do you mean? You own I don't own, it belongs to whatever, but I own that recipe. So every Rikofi can, what, that gets sold, I get something. And I think that's something for us to learn because we're still learning about the music industry. And some people slowly are learning about things like the sports. And I don't know if we'll ever get to a point with podcasting where later on we'll be fighting. You became a big deal. And this specific podcast episode was on CNN. It was on Fox. It ended up being bought on Spotify. Just this one episode. And Penuel ended up selling it and is made... I think Sting still getting paid by P. Diddy.
$30,000 a day.
Every single day for the sample on Missing You. Where I'm getting paid for this because he was sitting with DJ Spoo. Spoo was dropping knowledge. And Upen is still getting paid $1,000 every day. But now we never spoke about who owns the master to this episode. Who owns the master to the channel.
Yeah.
Who owns and it becomes a conversation that we're going to have at some point because the most talented kids in the world, sports, entertainment, music, writing books, are still, I don't want to use the word exploit, are still being, they're still getting the short end of the stick of their creativity because the people that understand law, the people that understand the systems are still making the lion's share. And this was one of the things Kanye almost got cancelled for. Because he was raising this thing to the fore of, it can't be that every time I want to make a sneaker or a MoFaya, I want to release a song, there are certain people that are always making money, even when they're not. We're speaking about renting a studio. we can speak about distribution. We can speak about distribution here. But there are still lawyers, bankers, outlets that are making money regardless of whatever we create. Even if we end up owning in South Africa as Otak, we got the land back. But the people, when we export, there are still people going to be making money when the money comes in because we still don't own something. There are still going to be certain ships and containers from Europe that are going to be making money, but we own the land. And you're like, yeah, but you don't own the containers, the ships, the aeroplanes. You don't own foreign exchange. You don't own the banks. You don't own the contracts. We're still the people that are the go-to people with America. And you're like, but we thought we owned everything. You're like, no, there are still going to be people making money.
I ran an education foundation for quite some time, and I've always approached things with the heart of giving and helping without expecting anything in return. And at some point, and I stopped looking at myself and feeling like I'm exploited or I'm a victim, because I kind of feel at some point I look back and I was like, wow. Like I was just offering my, call it for lack of a better word, celebrity. Offering my celebrity to all of these different things. I guess also those are some of the things that eventually got one to end up, studying about MoFaya. So many people that I help, so many things that I get to be a part of, that I endorse, and asking for no single cent. And some at a later stage, let alone not getting a thank you, but some at a later stage, it's like you've never even helped at all, And that mindset of being shrewd does come in to be like, actually, I must start thinking for my children, for me. And if you don't have that ounce of wake-up call that comes up to say, hey, not good man, ube shrewd, ube sleg.
Sure.
But remember, good now with what you're doing, you've been look at it like you are Mr. Ramaphosa. You've been elected by your either children who are still young, Konamanje, or who are unborn yet. They've actually elected you to make those decisions on their behalf, even though they're unborn yet. So when if uzoza ngalenhliziyo yakho sibusiso yobuNkulunkulu yokuthi wena you are just helping, you don't want anything in return, ingane zakho zizolamba. Because now umungene inkingeni, when you are in trouble here, nobody raises their hand to come and assist you. 100%. Nobody assists you. You are on your own when you are going through the most. But you've helped all of these people. Sure. So at some point, you must catch a wake-up call now. Okay, cool. How am I going to work? Yes, I still want to help. Yes, I still want to do good for society. But what are some of the legal people that I'll trust that everything that I get involved in, at least I get my own little share that will advise what you're talking about. To say, hey, company, so if you get I could have owned a bit of it, that one. Because I also assisted in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Sure. In this, so I was a part, you know what I mean? So you don't want to be that bitter old person who looks back and all of those things and be like, I was involved in that, but there's nothing to show for it. Nothing. So at some point you must remember you're not working for yourself. And if you don't become like that, and I'm not saying shrewd, I don't have a better word to say.
I think shrewd is the word. It's not, it can be negative if you want, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but you must be like that. Because if you're not, people are going to take advantage of that kindness that you're saying you have. And trust me, they will not let go. But those ka mpempe kaofela ka mokana ga bona, my brother, they'll come and take, because you're in a world of takers. People are going to take with no limits, and they will leave you with nothing. When you are going through the most, none of them, not even a single one of them, is going to raise their hands to go pay for your child's school fees for the next 3 months, to come and help you in that house that is getting repossessed. None of them is going to say so. None of them is going to do it. They're just going to say, Mudimu tla go bona, o tla go bless. And it's the truth. But at some point, being the incredible mind that you are, Penuel, I love that you're already coming up with those types of ideas. Actually, I want to assist.
So you're exploiting
no, we're not saying exploiting.
So you're exploiting,
but we are saying to you, to a certain limit, to say, okay, legs over intwana zami, ngizon assista, mara mina ngikaenile. Noma ngaba i-10% nyano, i-20%, the rest kugrand, ngizon assista bafethu, ngizo provider, ngizo. But let me be liable to, yabona. And akubalekile, and don't be afraid to do that, because awenzeli wena, wenzela intwana zakho now. Because umusu mdala mfethu intwana zizothi how. Kanti mfethu wena uthi or abantu bathu bancedile bonke labantu kodwa la endlini sihlala endlini yabona nje asinane yabona. So
too many stories like that.
No, nami I've been through that at some point when I felt like no, ulunge kakhulu now sibusiso. Buka. Papa makusejozile. Otherwise, bazokuxhaphaza up until you've got nothing.
I believe in fair value exchange, and I've had to learn. It doesn't have to be money, because people always take it down to money. I don't have to be paid. I'm working with DJ Spoo. It adds so much value in my life. If I can leverage that, where people are like, Uspana no Spoo, and I get certain gigs and deals, that is value for me. So it doesn't have to be, Spoo, give me pela. There is value adding in my life, and I need to find ways to bring it into tangible.
Yeah, but it goes back to the 2000 conversation I was saying.
Yeah.
No matter the little that I'm getting at 2000,
Sure.
whatever value I'm adding there, but I'm in the building.
Can
And
leverage.
it adds value to everything else that I'm doing.
Sure.
Not only my broadcasting career that I've got a platform, but it adds value all around in everything else that I'm doing. Because I'm in a state media broadcasting house. And I can press buttons or can create relationships within the building and make things happen for myself, for my businesses. So what I'm getting is a whole lot more than what I'm giving. Because even when I'm giving, I'm up at 3 a.m, I'm traveling at 4:30, or I'm there at 5, but up until 9 o'clock, then I can move and go do my other things. So yes, I'm giving this much and my experience and my intellectual property, but compared to what I'm receiving, I'm getting a whole lot more. So it might not necessarily be in monetary terms. And other people might not look at it that way. They might be like, how long for? Why am I sebuyele emsebenzini ayosebenza? Kodwa bona bazi what I'm benefiting from being in that business, in that building. Like, even when you're in conversations of where there's this new show that's coming, what do you think? Are we considering you for 1, 2, 3, and 4, man? Are you available? All of those things, when they happen, they easily happen because you're in the building. That's why I encourage intwana and said, no, Ndwana, no mungacela nje intern. Just get your one foot in the door. Because once you're in the building, then these things, when they happen, you're in there. So, other benefits, as you're correctly saying, they might not mean monetary value, but a kid is probably even getting a whole lot more by having worked with ambitious. Whatever might have happened.
Yeah.
But now a kid has got 1 million followers. A kid is now known. A kid is now a brand. A kid can now become an influencer. They can go sell whatever. They can create their own little studio. Now they can make their own. Now they are known because what they've benefited, depending on how they look at it,
100%.
what they've benefited, maybe it's even more than the other way around. Maybe Ambitious did not benefit at all. Maybe Ambitious even lost money on this kid. But this kid has got now millions of followers. This kid is now known all over the country. But it's up to this kid to continue playing the victim card, or it's up to this kid at the back of their mind to be like, I finessed them. I can now go hustle and make real money, right? Because they've empowered me for the rest of my life. They've made me a brand.
The definition of shrewd: having or showing sharp powers of judgment, being astute. That's what shrewd means. Having sharp powers of judgment. So a shrewd businessman is someone who has sharp powers of judgment in business.
Thank you for that.
I don't know if you still had a question. We can shut it down.
No, I'm good. I think I'm going to ask you this question when you... This is
the invite?
Yes, abanye bangithethisa bathi sixabene. Did you guys fight? What happened? We don't see Penzo no more. We don't see you with Penzo no more. So, because I think of time, respecting time, I think we've spoken long enough.
Yeah.
Let me keep that question further. Because nangizoyibuza, ngiyazi ukuthi answer yakhona might end up taking us to another 15 minutes of talk.
Sibusiso Liope.
Ngiyabonga.
Sibusiso, a blessing unto the world, unto all of us. Thank you for all the good that you do. Thank you for inspiring so many kids, as always. You are now a tangible product in MoFaya. I see the work that you do with kzndlovu. Shout out to the work you're doing at Radio 2000. Thank you for always sharing game. You had Uputu Sakile Mkambi recently, who I've been a fan of for so long. You still have that hustler thing. You still have that wanting to put people on. Whether people see it, don't see it. I said this to you when we were still working on a virtual Mkuku, that you're going to be one of those people that maybe others will actually appreciate when you're gone later. And it's sad that he's going through what he's going through now. And I'm not going to defend any of the allegations. I don't know what's going on and I don't approve of funny business. But outside of the allegations, man, Diddy is still an icon. The people that he's put on with Bad Boy, the people he's inspired, the work he's done with Ciroc, even outside of himself and the millionaires he created and the businesses he sprouted and the stars he gave us, the way he inspired so many other people elsewhere. People like him, people like Master P, another so-called controversial character being Birdman and his brother Slim. They've inspired so many people. And people can bash them. I think it comes with the territory that if you're going to be a leader, if you're going to be a pioneer, you will get attacked. You do hope that the attacks are way less than the accolades. And you do hope that people see the good more than the bad. But it comes with the territory. Sometimes it can be really, really bad, like what's happening with Udedi. But thank you for everything that you've done and that you continue to do. And yeah, let's keep trying to inspire kids to do better. And yeah, maybe this chat was what I needed to spark me to get into music in some way, and to see if we can use our platforms to help kids being like, ish, I was once on the Hustler's Corner, Pushi Tegla mid-trip, and today it's this. I was once on Penuel's show, I came with Lekulo, he helped me get it on radio. Today it's a big hit, and now we're working.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu, Mr. Penzo. I love you so much, my brother, and thank you so much for being the person that you are. And, you know, I always have told you of the role that you play in society, which is extremely, extremely significant. You know, roles that are not red-taped or censored or influenced, that are independent, and people that are not afraid to speak truth to power, and people that have got a heart for young kids bettering themselves out there. And I know everything that you do comes from a very good place. And I know your heart because God has blessed me to meet you and work hand in hand with you. I'm so proud of everything you've built with your team up to so far. I'm so proud of your consistency and tenacity in creating digital online content, because you understand the world that we're in and how important it is to share our thoughts and change other people's lives out there, people that we don't know, that we've never met, who bump into our videos on a daily basis. You've inspired me as well to just whip out my phone and start recording. I never used to before I met you. You are the one that encouraged me to do that, and I do it today. You inspire me for being the father that you are. I have told you that up until I met you, and as I've had my own experiences of growing up in life, I wish I could have had more kids earlier, you know, but at the time I was taught different, and I believed I was not ready to have children when I was young. But now that I'm older, I look back, I'm like, why didn't I just become a Penuel? You know? And you've also shifted my perspective on a lot of things, on how I look at the world. You're an incredible mind, and I'll never stop ngoming you, you know, and affirming you that I'm honored to have met you and to know you. I'm looking forward to having you on the Hustler's Corner again. And I think the people that are always behind the scenes who never get the flowers, guys, they're your flowers. Ta.
Always.
For creating such an incredible spot. And what you've created is nothing compared to what it's going to become. These are still early days. We've been saying it's early days for like 3 years now. How crazy is it? How crazy are the conversations we'll be having in 2030?
Yeah.
In 2040, when we're all gray and looking at our kids running these things, and there'll be big platforms at that time.
Yeah.
So kudos to your team, and congratulations, guys, for seeing the potential in working with this amazing gentleman. And I'm proud of what you guys are building. I'm looking forward to the future. I think the future is all bright for all of us digital players. Thank you, bro. I love you.
DJ Smooth, thank you.
On that very beautiful note.
Cheers.